welcome to another episode of Wayfar Adventures on the Edge of Space. Today we're day 23, episode 22. Today's episode is Tradesman, which uh last week's session was called something else and kind of had more to do with what the session was going to be, but then it turned into something else. So episode 21 requisition was just you being requisitioned to do politics, I guess. So, yay!
It's not our fault we do politician stuff better than politicians.
I mean, you don't, or maybe you do, but you certainly do better than the one politician.
And that's all that matters.
Fair enough. So, we continue off from last session. Pretty much straight into what happens afterward. You guys are done with your it was kind of a negotiation, right? um yeah, you helped Alva Mason with his little meeting. It was something of a negotiation that you guys participated in. Successful in the sense that everyone left and nobody was happy.
That's what
Which,
compromise means.
yeah, that is fair. So you guys have, said your pleasantries, parted ways, and presumably you're on your way back to your barracks?
I mean, are we?
That is why I said presumably.
We kind of just ticked people off from people who control our barracks. So are we going back to the barracks?
That's a fair question.
Sure. Did we really tick somebody off, though? Yeah, we did, kind of.
I mean, again,
Ticked everyone off. We kind of ticked people off on
nobody
every
was
side.
happy, and that includes someone who works closely with your boss.
Yeah, like he said to us that we hadn't made an enemy, but there was no implication that we had made a friend.
Right. Carlisle Armin was not super fond of everything that transpired that day.
Oh well. Time to see what our actions have wrought for consequences.
Look, we did what we were supposed to do and warned Barnett, and he did not tell us not to go get involved, and so that's on him.
He was probably napping in an ice ball somewhere. Or healing. Or dead.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Or dead.
I like how very nonchalantly you imply that your boss, who is, kind of important to a lot of different plans that are kind of
Yeah,
motion.
we're kind of screwed if he went off and died.
You're just like, he might just be dead. It's fine.
Listen, this isn't Skyrim. He's got plot armor.
Don't say stuff like that. Our GM will screw us over so bad. Do not say stuff like that.
Skyrim has plot.
It has a plot.
I have no idea what it is, and I've probably put like 300 hours into it, but whatever.
I mean, I'm pretty sure 90% of people who play Skyrim, just like 90% of people who play D&D or any other tabletop RPG is, they are presented with a well-planned, elaborate plot and proceed to immediately take a left turn as soon as one's possible.
My favorite part is when you head up the college and they keep asking you if you want to join the college. That's deep plot.
Listen, sometimes you just need to fill space. So you guys make it back to your barracks, because that's where you're going? Yes? That was never actually answered, right? I asked the question and was prompted with another question. So I assume yes.
I mean, that's the logical next step. That's where I would go.
yeah, like presumably you want to go home, basically. Like that makes
Yeah,
sense.
'cause we've had a busy morning. Time to relax and play some cards or
Yeah, I
something.
had to run out on his breakfast.
He finished it,
He shoved it into his
kinda.
face.
He
Did he
didn't
do like
enjoy
the
it, but
anime girl thing where he's running to the?
Well, no, he didn't have toast, so he couldn't run with toast.
Just run the whole way there, and each arm pump is just food up to his face as he's running.
Just got a stack of pancakes dripping syrup in his hand as he's just running down the street. Actually, wait, no, he didn't get breakfast. He got
I got the special.
he got the special. Yeah,
I got Uncle Vlad's wall chicken.
it was food. It was not food that humans on Earth would be familiar with, probably, but it was food. It was good. It was edible. You enjoyed it. You just couldn't completely enjoy it because then you had to like run to catch Romy.
Yeah, it's like getting something from Applebee's. It was edible. I'm not gonna remember it. It happened.
I mean, you basically went to Space Diner. Like,
Yeah.
what was the name of the diner in Star
Am I
Wars?
the
You don't
only-
know. You just remember the
Most
character.
diners are better than Applebee's.
Number one, I like Applebee's. Number two, I like diners.
And diners are better.
I like
Applebee's
diners.
where I live
No.
are atrocious. Diners are great though.
Applebee's was better before they got bought out by IHOP.
Well, that's probably true. They used to be, yeah.
Also,
They've taken some of the things I liked off the menu, so I don't like that part. so.
diners are generally good, but like if you're in a foreign town somewhere and you stop at a diner, it might be okay, but do you remember what it was called? Unless it was amazing, probably not.
To be fair, like I have gone to
What?
amazing restaurants and I don't remember what they're called.
Well,
So
I mean that's also a thing too, right? Like that's fair. Um,
I mean, like it's like no, I don't remember the names of places I go to.
so
If
you
I'm like, in
guys
another
are
town.
back in your barracks. It was an interesting morning and afternoon for you guys.
We've gotten into the afternoon with this. I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
we woke up late-ish.
Yeah, that was
Well-
not a short meeting.
You got up, you had food, and then you basically delegated a planetary conference.
All in a day's work.
Which, by the way, was not even like on the initial offering of the day. It's just sort of a thing that you guys just sort of stepped into. I was happy
Yeah, it
to
was
let you do
one of
it.
those hard left turns you were talking about.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, but it wasn't. It wasn't like we chose it. He asked us. Okay, Rumi might have chose it, and then we had to like fix
Yes.
things with.
Yes.
If you'd have just let her handle it, it would have been done by like 10 a.m. and y'all would have never been the wiser.
I feel like if Romy had been
And
left
we would
to
have never
handle
seen
it,
Romy again.
it might have been a planetary war. But you know, I don't know.
I'm kind of all for that though. That kind of sounds spicy and interesting.
The Romy war.
Like
There's
Romy
already a
War.
planetary war.
It's like a Cold War though.
Why not both?
It is admittedly kind of an arms race kind of war at the moment. But the problem with that is that unlike the Cold War, the only reason they're not pulling the trigger is just because they can't yet. Not that they won't. So, you know, that's not a good arms race.
Yeah, a little more terrifying.
Yeah, it's not that they're not willing to pull the trigger, they just can't afford to yet. Yet being the very operative and important word in this.
Yeah, because we put our space blockade up around Space Cuba. It's a history joke. I can tell that by the audience reaction, it landed very well.
Yes, the audience of nobody.
Yes.
Yes.
I gave a slight laugh, but I'm a historian, so
Yeah, she's a history nerd, so history references are like right in her court. So if anyone
well,
was going to
then,
laugh,
here
then
we go.
that was going to be her.
I'll throw you the rock next time. Christ. Anyways,
No, Romy actually was a history undergrad too.
Yeah, and throwing rocks at Christ is a pretty good joke too.
thank you. It was a subtle joke that I didn't even know I made.
God.
This is terrible. Anyone who's watching this VOD, I'm sorry.
I'm not.
I know you're not. You never are. It's fine. So what do you guys do once you're back in your barracks? What is the plan of the afternoon?
Rumi is trying to defeat her door that is like half opening and half closing and sparking. It's like a game to try to get into her room.
I mean, you could consider not breaking your door.
She needed bits from it.
I know. And that is Romy's prerogative to break everything in an attempt to improve things.
You haven't improved anything.
Putting it out there. I have a feeling that like Holland, like somewhere there's a sensor going off, and like on the other end of where that sensor alarm goes, there's just the guy who would just flip the switch and just no longer gets alerts from your base.
It's just one door on level 5 that's blinking red.
Like they've looked into it, and some guy was just like, "Hey, there's this alarm that just keeps going off." Like, yeah, don't worry about that. And it's like, why? It's like, well, it's their barracks. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay. Just like exhausted every single like engineer that works at Holland.
I mean, that sounds like the one benefit of having Romy here.
You are out of the watchful eye of Holland because Holland just doesn't want to keep
I'm
seeing.
so fed up, they just gave up on us. Like, that's great. That's
You're
exactly
welcome.
what we want, actually.
Actually, yeah.
It's like, yes, please.
Wait, does that make Romy your Morty? The stupidity just cancels out any attention that you normally would draw.
Is that how
Perfect
that show
wavelength.
works?
Yeah, I haven't seen that show, so I
It was explained fairly early on that Rick has a fairly unique brain signature that can be traced because he's super intelligent. And Morty is so dumb, he is the opposite end of that spectrum, so like the brainwaves just cancel each other out so they can't detect them.
I got the joke, but I was muted, so you didn't hear me laugh.
It's
Romy is your
basically
Morty.
yeah.
only that worked to give me cover for hacking.
I mean, yeah. Just let Romy into a place you want to hack, and just don't even give Romy any instructions. Just be like, just hang out and talk to people, you know. And
I hear
then
there's a
you wait
secret
5 minutes.
storage unit.
Huh?
Let's go. I hear there's like a secret storage unit. It's really just the janitor's room that they lock up so that supplies aren't taken.
I mean, really, yeah. Like, you just tell Romy, hey, there's this place that they won't let you in.
Yeah.
I feel like
taken care
Romy's
of.
immediate response is, well, now I have to go in there.
By the
Facts.
most circuitous route.
Yeah, Romy will, like, climb up the outside of the building, break in through, like, the top access door, and then, like, shimmy into, like, a closet that has access to, like, a supply vent, and, like, crawl their way down 50 floors to a vent.
But then crawl down the hallway right in front of the door.
Yeah, she passes the open door on the way to the roof.
So you guys settle into your barracks. I'm sure you're all mentally just exhausted.
Al is extremely quiet, and he's not even doing anything really to like engage or stimulate himself. He's literally just sitting at a table, staring at a wall, looking like he's thinking
I-
very hard.
I feel like Romy just napped through the
Yeah,
entire
Hermie
thing.
just got to rest through
And
the whole thing on the couch, so she's good
Harker
to
was
go.
just kind of like eating popcorn if he had popcorn. So
I was wishing he had popcorn. I don't think he actually had popcorn.
yeah, he didn't have popcorn, but he was wishing he had popcorn. I don't feel like those two are mentally exhausted.
I mean, I feel like Parker might have been bored after a
Yeah,
certain point.
yeah, he probably was like, this kind of thing again. He probably tuned out a little bit.
Yeah, but fair. Like Romy probably is just like, so what do we do now? That was a great rest. Um, Well, yeah. So you guys settle in, and you you just hear like a notification beeping noise.
Al winces visibly.
From? What do we hear a notification beeping noise from?
As far as you can tell, it's coming from your briefing room.
Okay, because that's like a lot different from coming from the microwave. So
I mean, Romy presumably put away all the food that she made. I say presumably because I can't speak for Romy's player. I don't.
No comment.
I mean, it's fine. There's just food that's just sitting on the counter for a
as
few
someone who
hours.
has lived with Romy's player, I would be shocked if the food was put away.
No, it's coming from the washing machine. Clothes are done. All right, I'm done being weird. Okay.
Being fries are done. I don't-
We have
Oh
a
wow.
washing
But
machine in our briefing room.
you have everything in the briefing room. This looks like some kind of a
Is it only for our briefs?
med deck. Oh dear God. I've opened the store.
I'm blaming you on this. I don't.
I mean, what do you guys do? You just hear a beeping noise, and so far all I've been asked is where's the beeping coming from?
Well, that was a
Where's
sort
the
of
beep?
relevant thing to find out.
It sounds like it's coming from the briefing room, so Al just looks at Kat and goes,
Romy
I
runs
think-
full speed into the briefing room.
Okay.
Al doesn't hustle this time, just looks at Kat and goes, so this could be interesting. And then stands up and sort of like brushes himself off. Starts to
Kat-
walk towards it.
Kat
Leisurely.
distinctively looks like she was not going to go to the briefing room, but when Romy rushed in, she kind of just gave like this sigh and
It's like, well, I guess I
followed.
have to go there now.
Yeah, like, she was just like, I don't know, I don't give it. Well, now I have to give a damn.
Like we're all greyhounds and she is the rabbit on rails.
It's like, well, I guess now I care.
It's like I don't want everything to go wrong now.
Okay.
Romy hangs up on whoever it is by accident.
Well, it's real impressive for you to hang up on a message, not a call. So,
I mean,
I guess. So you walk in and Romy's basically just pushing buttons blindly, as far as I can tell. Is that a good interpretation of hanging up on a
Yeah.
message?
yeah, she's kind of jabbing buttons, not like manically or anything, but she's kind of just.
Yeah, like she's just pushing buttons to see which one will make it stop.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's fair. So yeah, you just kind of walk in and Romy just standing at a terminal, just pushing buttons. Beeping still hasn't stopped, but she's getting there, I guess.
But she turned the blender on.
There's a blender in the briefing
In the
room.
If there's a washing machine, there's a blender.
The picture is of the barracks, not of the briefing room. Where have you been? I've used this picture for the barracks several times.
Yeah, that is literally, you're looking at the kitchen.
There's pictures.
Anyways.
Does
So-
Harker come in, or is he just like, nah?
Harker definitely follows. He's probably now once again wishing he had popcorn.
There's a microwave in here somewhere.
Yeah. Sure.
If
So
there's not a
like,
blender,
Kat
there's
just
not a
like
microwave.
walks past whatever nonsense Romy is doing and hits the play button.
Yeah, fair. So you see a wonderfully familiar face, and it is Carlisle Armin. And he's not dressed like he was before, so he has since changed. He looks a little bit more like you are used to him looking. Um, he has that usual polite look on his face. He doesn't seem upset at you, or at least not visibly so. And he just is delivering you an assignment. And you can kind of pick up in his voice that he is enjoying that he's giving you this assignment.
Oh no.
Time to reap what we've sowed.
You are being asked to meet with a delegation from the Wayfar Mining Guild and negotiate the terms of their assisting in the operations of Prospector's Hollow.
That dude's quick.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of Holland's opposites things. At least being connected to Barnett seems to mean that.
All right. Is there like a time and a place?
Yes, it is about 2 hours from now. It is going to be in Holland's offices. There is going to basically be a briefing room that you will be using to meet in. He recommends that you sort of. The way he phrases it is put Holland's interests forefront.
The old bait and switch, eh? Well, because we were pretty vocal about being just in general in like the planet's interest, not Holland's necessarily in that meeting.
Yeah.
But now we're now we're operating in a Holland fashion. So we're gonna have to put on the Holland whites and because they don't have blue uniforms, white uniforms, if I remember correctly. Not trying to make it a weird thing. And act on that side. So I'm guessing we're probably gonna see some of the same people, and they're probably gonna be like, okay, what the fuck just happened?
Maybe. There's a good chance that you might be seeing a few familiar faces.
I'm sure Dougie will be there.
Maybe.
He's a weasel, he'll find his way in.
I mean, I feel like you're making a lot of assumptions about behavior here,
Yes.
Al. Because, like, we have been representing Holland this entire time,
Yes. But now we're being instructed
including when
to
we just, like, went to the Prospector's Hollow to begin with. And we were
Yes.
like, I guess we're just gonna put Holland in charge of it.
Yes. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm just saying, if anyone no, there's no way he thinks that cat is gonna end up towing the party line. There's no way he does.
Hmm. No, I guess we'll have
So
to
this
see,
is
huh?
about digging the grave. This is not about expecting us to actually no. It's about digging our own graves.
Oh, get the tiny shovels then, so it takes longer.
I mean, do you have tiny shovels? I don't know.
We're gonna use the garlic presses.
In actuality, I do have a very small shovel that's just above the size of a trowel, but that's a long story. So,
So does he say anything else?
No, that is just it's time and date, and basically the contents of like what the mission packet is, as it were, which is effectively that you will be negotiating, basically the terms of the contract, as it were. So like that's fun.
I mean, Al just kind of sits down and like leans back in the chair and lets his arms hang to his side and goes, "Can I have one day, just one, that isn't bookended by weird ass meetings?"
I mean, in fairness, you had several.
I mean,
He's Shh.
like how we don't do weird ass meetings that often.
Yeah, like in fairness, the vast majority of missions that you have done were not meetings.
Right. To Al though,
Al's had a single day of meetings, and he's just like, "I'm done. I'm done for life."
this is Al's personality. He's not a talker. He's like he does things, and then he's just like, all right, well, I got to think critically now again in the evening, the late afternoon to the evening. So I guess that's what's happening today. You know, he's given up. He's gonna do it, but he's just complaining for the sake of complaining.
Fair, I guess.
Something he didn't have the luxury to do before.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, Kat's not exactly fond of the meetings either. It's not like she's a meeting person.
No, but your disdain in said meeting is pretty likely why you were picked to do said meeting. Honestly, it's almost like the guy who's assigning you the mission doesn't like you right now. Weird. But anyways, anything you guys gonna do prepare for this meeting, or are you just gonna arrive at the stated time and place?
Chris gonna buy some popcorn.
Kat, like, okay, so they get the message, and Kat's just like looks, talk, and goes, "You know, you're actually talking this time, right?"
Harker looks visibly shocked, like she just told him someone died. And he's kind of like stammering a little bit. He's kind of like, are you sure you want me talking? Which
Like,
sounds
you're
like a
very
very,
charming.
very
It's what you're meant to
dangerous
do.
question. Harper decides not to point out the last time he tried to charm the person who locked them in the hangar with the giant metal arms.
Wait, did he try to charm him?
He didn't like actively try to charm him, but he tried to like kind of just schmooze him a little.
Because I mean, like, it did work for the other lady.
Yeah.
Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. It's a 50-50 at this point. Those are good odds.
Harker just kind of sighs.
And Cash is gonna like glance at the other. She's like, "Try to dress your best if we're going to be representing Holland."
He
And
just
then
looks
she,
down at his clothes and like shrugs. He doesn't actually own anything fancy. He got rid of all that stuff.
is Cat gonna have to like order clothes for everyone to arrive like a DoorDash style?
I thought Al had a nice suit kind of laid out for stuff like this somewhere. Didn't Al wear nice clothes somewhere else?
Yeah, he
Oh.
did. He went to his restaurant.
bought stuff.
Hawker
Yeah.
bought a bunch of clothes that, like,
Yeah, he
you know.
did. He bought a couple
Yeah.
things.
You
He's
bought
Al's
not
got
saying
stuff.
like dress like they're going to like the Ritz.
you bought nice-ish clothes while you were on the resort planet.
Yeah,
Right.
stuff with sleeves.
Yeah, like you didn't buy like a fancy suit, and none of you took up like Holland uniforms weren't required, but
Yeah,
like
no, we wouldn't wear them if we like even if they tried to acquire us. So, um, yeah, no, she's just gonna say like, just
dress like you care,
yeah, essentially.
even if you don't dress like you care.
And then she's just gonna go like shower and actually put on like a nice pair of slacks and like a nice blouse type thing, like business attire, but not like everything. And she's actually gonna do like her makeup and all that stuff, just because she's just doing the full put together look.
Gonna take her own advice and dress like she cares.
Yes.
I mean, Al puts on a decent, long sleeve button up, solid color, no tie, regular trousers, slacks, not like his normal combat cargo pants that also turn into shorts, which we discussed in a previous session. And,
Forgot about those.
oh yeah, they're a thing. Um, and, regular closed-toed shoes. I never really discussed his footwear. So let's just say he's still wearing the same boots because they're fine with pants on over them. Um, Still packs a garlic press because why not? I mean, at this point, it's basically his signature move. So
Sure,
there we go. Oh yeah, and he combs his hair.
sure.
Oh, guess that joke went over everybody's head.
I got it. I just didn't want to point out the obvious to everyone that he doesn't have any hair.
And I just went sure. Because if I acknowledge the joke, that gives it power. But apparently, we are acknowledging the joke.
We have to acknowledge the joke when it accuses us of not getting it.
You had two choices: acknowledge or move on immediately, and you did neither.
Yeah, like when there's the gaping silence there.
There's a reason I just went sure. Anyways,
Wayfar throws on a pair of like some pretty fitted dress slacks, whatever he picked up on the planet. Probably something with long sleeves that he'll roll up to his elbows and a vest. Not
I
too
guess if
fancy.
we're dressing up, Remy's gonna run back to her room and dig through her little box of clothes.
Well, she bought 10,000 clothes too.
And she comes out with the most garish, long, flowing skirt she can find. And she's got big old bell sleeves and a corset and a tiara.
I would say I'm surprised, but honestly, I'm really not.
Yeah, no.
And strappy gold sandals.
Okay. Anything else anyone's gonna do other than dress up?
Um, the main thing that Al would do at this point is just kind of say, so, like, just to the team in general, like, so, how screwed do you think we are?
Cat just looks at him and says, on a scale of the Blade Cult knows our names or Wilmy stole a dog or um someone made a deal of blackmail with the person who ended up being our boss?
Al just looks at her and goes, "Okay, point taken."
Like that's just like she just like I mean, she's not. They don't know that she hacked in Holland yet, so she's not revealing that. I mean, Holland doesn't technically know it was her yet, so
As far as we know.
yeah, who knows? And then she hacked in the Union Space. Like I feel like Kat just lives her entire life on a scale of screwed. So it's not about whether you are technically screwed or not. It's whether you can escape. And you don't know if you're gonna escape until it's that last moment before being screwed.
Oh yeah. I'll just recognize the look on Armin's face as one of a guard giving, a prisoner a reward that's actually a punishment. So, the happy but not happy for you look. So,
Kat is gonna. Her voice turns a little more serious, and she just says, "Look, this is what I argued to have happen because the mining guild had to be appeased about Prospectus Hollow, but to be honest, I don't feel like Prospectus Hollow was better off under the mining guild. They were letting the town die off, and they had a lot of resentment towards the town. So I feel like if they had gotten control back of that town, they would have probably removed the people we helped from any positions of power. So we're just gonna have to roll with the dice here."
Al kind of straightens up a little bit and goes, "This is true. While we did some stuff against our morals at least against my morals at that point, we did what was right for the town, and it's all about what's best for everybody. So now that we've given them the middle ground, I guess it's time to bring it home, eh?"
Like Kat's kind of give this nod because she doesn't want to admit that she totally does feel guilty and responsible for the town now because they meddled in it so much.
Maybe a little bit.
I mean, I was kind of feeling the same way too. But at the same time, he's like, let's just get through this. Hopefully they don't try to call us away after the sun goes down or the suns or whatever on Wayfar. And he can actually relax a little bit. It should be noted that the shirt somehow for him is actually a little too big. So he's got like that 1990s, like way too large dress shirt thing going on for him.
You don't know. In the future, that could be back in style.
Could be. I don't think it was in
Fashion's so
style even when it was
cyclical.
in style.
I mean, as long as he's not running around dressed like He-Man, I guess you're fine.
As long as he's not wearing a tiara.
Hey,
Listen, sometimes the Vanellope look is in.
she runs back to her room and gets a tiara for her drone too.
Anyways.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think Al's done psyching himself up for this.
Fair enough. So you guys make your way to the office then, yeah?
But Kat makes Haku enter first.
Fair enough. So you guys come up to a small
I like how we didn't even discuss whether Haku agreed to do that or not. Just like, no, she's making it.
I don't think there was ever like a discussion that was going to be involved in that, honestly. But you guys make your way to what ends up being a small office. Whoever wants to go in first can go in first. Whether that's Harker or
No,
not, I
then
don't know.
Romeo just went in. Cat makes Harker go in first.
Yeah.
Right, so Hacker definitely enters first. He did not actually get popcorn because now he's like responsible, being made to be responsible. So he did not buy popcorn.
How unfortunate.
He's gonna be very sad about it later.
Ultimately, Al is bringing up the rear of the party.
Are people like actually in the room, or are they the first to arrive?
So as you guys walk in,
Looks empty to me.
there are basically two people in the room already. One of them you don't recognize, but one of them is definitely Braden Driscoll, the mining guild representative who was at the meeting earlier.
Basically, did the "I'm disappointed in you" speech.
Ah,
That is what that speech was.
eh.
That was not intentional. Ignore that.
um, but he is looking tired. It's been a long day for him too. And as you come into the room, like he's kind of leaning back in his chair with like his arms like crossed behind his head. And like you can tell that like the other person is talking to him when you come in, but he's just not paying attention to them at all. Obviously the person stops talking as soon as you guys come in, and like what you discover is probably his assistant. They kind of like straighten up and try to like look, more put together. Um, and they introduce themselves. Um, the assistant's name is Michael, and Braden Driscoll kind of just is still sitting there with his arms up behind his head as he kind of swivels in his chair and looks at you, and he's just like, "Hello again."
Cat's just gonna go like, "Did you volunteer for this, or were you chosen too?"
Kind of looks at you and goes, "Well, representative, so representing."
She just moves to sit. She's kind of like, just like, she doesn't bother to hide that she's just like fed up with this whole business. When she's like, it's him, so she like he knows that like they freaking talked earlier. So
But he is a little bit more relaxed than he was before. He kind of knows that they're not going to get what they wanted, so he's kind of. It seems like he's mostly okay with just whatever at this point, but you're not certain, especially with his assistant there. Um, but after you sit down, he doesn't seem like he's moving from his posture of just sort of like sprawled out in the chair.
He just kind of nods to both of them and takes a seat across from them.
Is there an open chair next to him?
Yeah, there's a couple of chairs around the table.
How far away did Cat sit from him?
sort of just sat diagonally ish.
Okay. Al's gonna sit between the two of them then,
It's like a
because
hexagon
assuming,
table, right?
Yeah.
yeah, Al's gonna sit on the side of Cat that's closer to him, but next to Cat, technically, because I assume that there's like one chair between them at that point. Then
Yeah. Sure. that's how if that's how you want to arrange it, then yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else sitting, or is everyone else gonna stand?
Everyone else is just Romy.
I mean, I guess Remy will sit.
Because everyone else is more like, is Romy gonna sit or stand? Because Harko sat across, and then
I mean,
She
how
kind of
come
just
our
plops
drums?
down in the chair with a humph, like a bored teenager.
Kat kind of looks over at Harko because she's like, no, you get to handle this one.
Harker just kind of glances back at Cat, like, mm. He also was only sort of paying attention in the last meeting, so he's kind of like the kid who showed up and didn't do the homework. Were they supposed to be waiting for someone else, or was it basically just this
That
delegation?
is, as far as you know, the delegation that has been set from the mining guild.
Okay. So Harker asks, he's like, "Are we waiting for anyone else?"
Brayden kind of looks at you, and he kind of sighs and sits up and goes, "Nope, everyone's here." And he kind of like straightens up a bit in his chair, kind of leans in and sort of props his elbows up on the table, and he stares sort of, at you from across the table and goes, "So what's your offer?"
Trying to kick my brain into gear. Okay.
Lowball them.
It's been a long day. Harker's not really sure what exactly they're supposed to be offering, so he just leans his elbows on the table, kind of leans forward too, and is like, "Well, what are your demands?"
He sort of gestures sort of nonchalantly to his assistant Michael, who kind of, sits down, taps a couple panels on the display, and you see all of your other displays light up. There's a list of terms that the Mining Guild has come up with that you recognize as being ridiculous is a very nice way to put it. Effectively, the Mining Guild is what they're basically saying is that they will come and they will consult as you guys originally proposed. Their consultants will be provided housing. They will be paid a salaried wage. They will be provided not quite benefits, but like they'll be compensated for any risks involved if there's any on-site, training, because it's potentially a dangerous situation. They have the right to basically dictate how mining operations are continued going forward, because they are the mining guild, so they know best. On site, Holland is theoretically able to, based on the terms of this contract, oversee like what the general direction of the mines are, being like, we would like to mine this material, but under the terms of the contract, the mining guild will basically determine what is the best way to go about what they're doing. And they also get a percent cut of any profits that they make out of anything that is done under their advisement, which, under the terms of this contract, is effectively everything.
Mm.
I looks over the list and just actually outright laughs.
Parker's taking a few minutes, like, he's biding his time as he's looking over this list because some context. He pretty much avoided this kind of thing as much as he could. Like his brothers took care of most of it. Um, but he knows enough to know that these are fairly ridiculous, um, working conditions. And some of it is reasonable, but a lot of it isn't. So at the moment, he's kind of taking his time as he's thinking it over. Um, I was trying.
Al sees Harker struggling a little bit with this and just whispers to Kat, sidebar, and side eyes Harker, like points to him. Because he's nowhere near, he's not sitting next to Harker, he's sitting next to Kat and either Romy or an empty seat.
Kat lifts her hand slightly in like a wait gesture to Al, and she's just like, let him handle it.
Al just nods and then makes a visible record of looking, or kind of like reading over the list that's displayed on the terminal and kind of just shaking his head a little bit. Not trying to be totally noticeable, but makes a small show of something's got to change, and then just lets Harker process.
I'm assuming like Harker has some sort of little data pad or something.
There's like a terminal in front that like their proposals
Right,
up.
but
So
like
like,
his own.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wanted to have one, yeah, like it's not unreasonable to be like he has some sort of like equivalent to like a phone or something with him.
Okay. So he takes out his data pad slash smartphone. Because Kat is sitting next to Harker, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So
She kind of mirrored the position of the assistant.
yeah. So
So
he types out to kind of makes it look like he's looking into a couple things that are on the list. But he basically says, "Can you get Warner on the phone or slash datapad?"
um,
Warner is the
yeah,
yeah.
he's the current. What is the name of his job position? Why am I blanking?
Well,
In
his
charge of
name
the
tag said
mines.
mayor.
Foreman?
Woman.
Yeah, Foreman.
Yeah, no, there was the woman was the mayor, which was, I was surprised she wasn't here.
Yes,
Or
but
the
this is
the
more
is
about the
yeah.
Holland contract rather than specifically the town, because this would be basically cutting into Holland's operational things.
Why did she write HKA?
Harker, Kat, Al.
Oh.
I'm writing down our seat positions in case it becomes relevant.
Um,
Where's the R?
Where'd you sit?
I don't know, in a chair.
well, we know across from Harker is uh what is his name? Driscoll?
Braden Driscoll, correct.
Yes. Across from Harker is
After
Driscoll.
after Harker kind of passes that to Kat to be, see what she does with it. Because he's kind of thinking, they're discussing the town. It might throw a wrench into things if they got the foreman on the phone who actually, has been
Yeah.
handling the town.
So can Kat easily reach out to the foreman?
You could attempt to call him. Are you gonna like? Well, actually, here's the question: are you attempting to call him or message him, or what? What's your plan here?
Sending a message first.
Okay. Do you have his contact? Like he is, uh, in
I mean,
Holland's
like she has
database,
everyone's
as it
contact
were. So
as
like,
long as they're alive and they're using any sort of internet access.
well,
So
yeah, but like presumably, like
we have it
you have an
officially.
official channel as like
Yeah.
he is in connection with Holland to some degree, right? Like so, like you do actually have like a
Yes.
way to talk to him.
So one of the demands is they need housing, salaried wages, uh, basically the right to consult on 100% of mining operations. And then what else?
So they
They-
were actively
They can
basically
dictate it.
so basically
Yeah,
their terms are housing, salaried wages, extra wages if they have to be in the mine for any reason, which would again basically be like always.
right.
Then they're asking for right to determine the day-to-day operations, which means to say like Holland still can be like we want to mine X, but like the
Mhm.
mining guild would be like here's how you best mine X. Um like they can basically be
But
like
they have a right. They're saying that they have a right to like not merely say this is how you best.
yeah, like
They have a right to go like we
they
are
have
doing it this
final
way.
say in the actual like operational procedures. Um and then they get a percent like cut from anything that is mined under their supervision, which while it's not stated to be 100%, basically the way these terms are worded can be anywhere from none of it to all of it.
I added a little cheat sheet. I think it covers everything, pretty much.
Yeah, effectively what they've come with this contract is saying we are
Typing that.
profiting from running this mine and we have to do none of the work or investment.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but also why wouldn't they open with that?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't lowball yourself. That's
Right.
just asking for trouble.
And Warner was the foreman of the mine. But what time we got there, the mine was closed because of the worms. But like, is there every indication to think that we kind of knew that he was good at what he did?
So Warner was the former foreman under the mining guild. When the mining guild pulled out, he chose to stay, and because the town kind of fell apart, he was sort of de facto mayor. After Holland basically bought out the town, he was put in charge of the mine again, effectively as like a manager foreman position.
We're trying to get Warner on the line, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm typing notes because I know that if I don't, I saw your notes too, but I know that if I don't, I'm gonna super lose track of what I was talking about. Okay,
I
so
hear
they
you.
want housing, salaried wages, consult of 100% mining operations, basically running, dictating what Holland can and can't do with the mines, while getting extra pay for any safety hazards that they can claim by being in the mine. Um, okay, anything else?
Percent cut of all income that the mine makes under their advisement.
What percent?
Um, it's kind of variable depending on their involvement, but it's anywhere from 10 to 20%. And you can be certain that if they're taking a cut, they're going to be taking that.
Yeah. And how many like how many consults are they suggesting need to be housed and salaried and
So there isn't a number specified, which basically is however many they can justify as being necessary for the operation of the mine.
so Harker asked that question. He says, how many he kind of pauses a moment, then he says, consults do you expect to be providing the town?
You see Braden Driscoll kind of shifts in his seat a bit, kind of sits up, and he goes, well, that really depends on what the situation in the mine looks like, doesn't it? Can't really give you an answer until we're on site to evaluate.
Harker makes a note on his data pad, um, and it sort of says out loud, pending evaluation.
You have a really rough art reader interpretation of Braden Driscoll.
What? Now he's just like standing next to Cat imposingly.
Yeah, yeah.
Dear God.
All right, what's Cat doing over there?
I mean, Kat's trying to get the contact messages through to
I mean,
Warner.
she also just sent him an email like a minute or so ago.
Yeah, but she would probably also, uh, since they actually have offices there now, 'cause they were building them when last we were there.
Indeed.
She's gonna send a message to the offices saying that he needs to be in contact.
So Harker gets kind of like, kind of going down the list. And at this point, whether he means to or not, he's actually probably kind of seeming like no, not quite no nonsense, but very like he's actually looking at these demands with a keen eye. So he kind of nods to himself and he says, housing is understandable. That can certainly be worked in um, as an allowance as part of the salary package.
Just kind of flashes a la told you so look.
Um,
Al just kind of looks back and is like,
Kat had a method and why she chose that Harko would be leading it.
There's a
then,
method in the madness somewhere.
Yes.
yeah, you have a lot more confidence in my mental abilities right now. Than I
I
do.
just have no confidence in my own right now either. So,
Um, Parker
Al
says
looks like he's struggling to not say something, by the way, at this point. He's shifting in his seat, like he's uncomfortable. But go on.
Parker says, walk me through how much consulting you think will be required. And then he kind of jokingly says, I mean, I certainly don't know anything about running a mine.
He kind of chuckles a little bit. And he goes, well, I suspect they don't really have any idea how to run a mine either. So, to answer that question, probably a lot of consulting.
Kind of pipes up with like, why would you think they didn't know? Is the mining guild in the habit of hiring incompetent foremen?
He kind of shakes his head and he goes, well, it's been about a year since any of them have any training, so as far as I know, they haven't kept in practice or learned a new procedure or paid attention to any developments in mining. I can't imagine that they're versed enough in what I would call modern mining techniques.
Kind of gives him this amused look. And she just says, ah, yes, the year that the mining guild has been involved in a war and taking over towns. I'm sure a lot of innovation in the mining sector was done.
He scoffs and goes, you shouldn't listen to everything the news says. We didn't take over this town. We declared independence with them.
Cat shrugs slightly and goes, fair enough, but that does not imply that everyone was just focused on mining and somehow the miners who were not working during that time were somehow out of touch of great leaps and bounds of innovations.
Brayton Driscoll kind of shrugs and he goes, sometimes war helps come up with more interesting ideas that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
Like what? Al says
He
at this
smiles
point,
and he goes,
just
well,
fuming.
I'd be happy to consult with you for a fee.
Al glances over at Kat, Harker, and Romy, and then looks back over and says, if we're going to sign a deal with you, we need to understand what kinds of things we're going to need to have these folks educated on. And we are not agreeing to anything until we know exactly what advancements you feel are going to be so absolutely necessary that they require extra consulting. And in order for us to know that, we're going to have you give us that information as part of this briefing, not as part of paid consulting.
He kind of
Um,
folds his hands together and sets them on the table and he goes, now, if I recall correctly, a certain negotiation this morning with the planetary governor assured us that, what was it? The compromise for everyone's best interest would be for us to consult. I believe that we are just going to consult at all, and what we're negotiating is what we're being paid for the consulting.
kind of gives Al a calm down gesture.
Al shuts up.
But can Cat like hack into a computer at the actual like mine?
In Prospector's Hollow,
Yeah.
I mean, you have access to a lot of the systems since Holland owns them, so depends on what you're looking to do.
Well, I mean, she just flat out wants to flash a message that Warner needs to contact them.
Um, I mean, you can
She's at this point of being like, nope, need attention now.
certainly attempt to find him to do so, I guess. Or are you just gonna put it on every terminal?
No, she was gonna put it on every terminal.
Okay,
Like someone was gonna freaking like find them
sure.
or reply or send information on what he's doing and why he's, like.
Sure. I mean, you can do it.
Yeah, that's all she wants to do. Just flash the message to be
Okay.
like, "Hi, I'm interrupting your daily mining numbers," to say he needs to call.
Sure. You can do that.
It's sort of like the mall PA when a kid is late coming home back when we were like
Okay.
teenagers.
I mean, sure.
And the-
Like you
yeah,
can
that's all
send that
she.
message.
Yeah, that's what she does right now.
Okay. I mean, you do. It's gonna still take some time for someone to respond to that, but yeah.
Yeah, no. She doesn't say anything else because she was calming Al down, and then she's letting Harker handle the.
Harker kind of runs his finger down the list and then he pauses and he says, in terms of hazard pay, I would presume that for security, you would be relying on Holland technology and security forces.
Why do they even need hazard pay? I mean, you would figure that would be in the base pay since the whole job is hazardous.
Yeah, Parker's getting to that.
Yeah.
All in good time.
He kind of looks and he goes, "Security. I wasn't aware that your mine was so dangerous that we need additional security."
Parker kind of chuckles and says, my apologies. As I said, I don't know much about running a mine, so perhaps you could tell me what kinds of hazards you expect.
He kind of gestures and goes, "Well, you're asking for consultants now. At some point, they might need to go into the mines. Uh, Now that is a little bit beyond the scope of a consultant. So of course, they are taking the extra risk. After all, if you're inspecting the safety of an operation, you can't guarantee that while they're inspecting that it is safe, right? So it's potential hazard."
Parker nods as though considering this, and then he says, so you're expecting there to be hazards in the mine that you ran once upon
He
a time?
kind of chuckles and goes, "Well, we ran them 2 years ago. I don't know what the state of those mines is now."
Parker sits, kind of, nodding as though he's like really thinking about this. And then he looks down and he says, I will chalk this up to needing, the mining guild is requesting that we send in some drones to take footage for them so they can assess how hazardous their job may be. And then he says, oh, wait, we could just send in the drones and then you would never have to enter the mines. Let's just take that right off the list.
He kind of looks and goes, "Well, as you're saying that you want to replace your staff with drones, then I would agree."
Hacker points out, but only the consults who think that their job isn't to enter the mines to look directly at the thing they are trying to consult about.
He kind of looks at you and goes, "So you don't get paid extra for missions where you go into combat?"
Parker kind of blinks and looks at Kat and he's like, do we?
You do.
She's like.
Parker's not been paying attention.
It's like, wait, we get paid extra for that?
I mean, she's like, Cash just like, that's kind of been our whole jobs, because when we're paid to do something, we are paid to do something. We don't sign on as lancers and then go, but we're only lancers who don't enter combat.
You do actually get a higher pay rate for
Yeah,
combat
no,
missions
but
versus non.
like,
But yeah,
but like her point is that like it's technically a higher pay rate, but it's based on the pay rate they have. Like it's not like they are like, it's a whole another side point. She's like, if you are saying that you want pay if one of your consultants are actually injured in the mine, that's a completely different matter.
to that he goes, "Oh, there's a whole different set of regulation if someone's injured as a result of that. In fact, there's planetary code for that."
Cat just kind of blinks at him like, then it's already covered.
He goes, "No, that only covers workplace injury." Now, what you're saying is that we should have consultants that are paid extra for hazard because their job is specifically into a hazardous situation. Then, if by all means you want to employ separate staff for training in the mine and out of the mine, then we can certainly negotiate that. This proposal simply just pays a base rate, and that way you don't have to have special staff on hand for mine related investigations and consultations.
Kind of eyes him like she has something she could say, but she's still yielding the floor to Parker.
Parker?
Um, well, since, Holland is kind of, I'm assuming Holland is running this mine, right?
Mhm.
That's an aside. Parker doesn't say that out loud.
Yes, Holland
Like,
is
that's why
running the
we're
mine.
here. It's my assumption. So Harker says, well, since Holland is running the mine, and Holland is very good at dealing with, as you put it, security problems, and that would, my assumption would be that that would fall under Holland's purview anyway, um, as part of running the mines. But that is not necessarily, that sounds like something that the miners themselves would have to deal with more than the consultants.
He kind of comes into the desk again and he goes, "The mining guild on Wayfar has a very low injury rate in our mines. We can train our staff very well. We are very good at what we do. Now, you're telling me you want me to put my faith in Holland's ability to run a mine. You want me to put in good faith that everything in that mine is up to our standards of safety and regulation. Now, can you tell me how Holland's safety numbers on their planetary mining operations compared against those run by the Mining Guild?"
nods and adopts this expression, like he's concerned, like a little bit concerned, but then he also kind of looks like he kind of brightens a little, and he says, "So it sounds like the real concern here is that the miners haven't been updated in the mining guild's techniques. And I very much appreciate your offer to train them with up-to-date techniques. Um, it really shows your concern for the miners that once worked for you. Um, Certainly, it shows that you are concerned for their well-being, and that is deeply appreciated."
Brayden Driscoll kind of
I was muted for a second.
takes his hands off the table and leans back into his chair and kind of crosses his arms over his chest and kind of like nods toward his assistant, the man who just introduced himself simply as Michael. Kind of types in to the terminal, and you sort of see a couple of reports pop up. To Driscoll's credit, the mining guild mines, if you're to take these reports at face value, which you might not necessarily, their workplace injury is fairly low. Um, there have only been about 10 incidents in the last 10 years that are attributed to just like mining related injuries. They're mostly um like collapse related, um and none of them are fatalities, right? Like they mostly just injured, like rock fell on someone's leg, like when a wall collapsed, or a vehicle was damaged due to like a sinkhole or something like that, and a couple of miscellaneous things, and they're mostly related to uh worm problems. um Again, whether or not you take that report as accurate, you know, certainly debatable. Um, Conversely, Holland's mining record is bad.
Prospector's Hollow or overall?
Or just
Like,
in general. Like, here's the thing: Prospector's Hollow has only been in operation on the Holland for just under a year, and most of that year was just like getting the mine
building
up.
it up, yeah.
So, like, arguably, Prospector's Hollow is barely operating at like what a full efficiency mine would be. But like, now keep in mind, Holland owns a lot of mines.
Right.
But like, it's something to the neighborhood of like 2% of all mining operations that Holland operates result in a workplace injury. Which, not a high number, but when you spread it around how many mines that they are operating, is basically every day, like hundreds of people are getting hurt somewhere in their territory.
You're giving us two different statistics, though. It's 2%. Like, I'm not talking like as I'm just talking to you. Like, do they just show us like 2% versus 10 over the last 10 years? Or are they actually showing us
It's over the
equal
last 10
statistics?
years. Like, it is. Here's the problem. Like, Holland is providing numbers that are like PR spun. Like, workplace injuries are down. less than 2% of all mining-related operations result in injury. Look at how much better we're doing.
Gotcha.
Like, assuming that both parties are lying, like, that's still a lot.
So Al just kind of texts a message over to Harker real quick, just asking, are the numbers that Holland are reporting all workplace injuries regardless of source or just mining related?
Those are specifically related to mining because they have like reports for like their different divisions. So there's like industry, production, you know, like that is purely like mining. Like mining injuries are down. Like still a lot, but they're down.
Of course they're down. They happened in a mine.
Oh, Christ.
That's bad. So like the two numbers are disparate, right? But like it is still a lot. Like you can argue that maybe there are mines in Holland territory that are better off than others because like ultimately it's up to who's managing that planetary affair, right? Like maybe one planet just doesn't care and like everyone's always getting hurt and that skews the numbers.
Right.
But like realistically, you don't know. Like what is Holland's presence on Wayfar like? How much do the administrators on Wayfar care versus like crappy planet like 86?
Interesting.
Kat sends. I'm assuming they have like a group messaging thing.
Yeah.
She sends like a group message going like, so what they really want to do is look into they really want an original consultation fee for the safety to make sure that it is being amounted to their safety standards. Like not if they but asking for every time we enter the mines over the next millennia is not rational. Unnerving silence.
So
Typing.
while you guys are going over that, you do get a kind of reply from Am Warner in the sense that it's just sort of like a what do you want, which is a response.
Would just like message him back going like, we need you in a meeting to decide the future fate of the mine.
Parker would text Kat to say, ask him how much he likes his job and how much he wants to put up with the mining guild's
Interference.
oversight.
She just kind of like copies and pastes that in for him.
So what exactly do you say to him?
That we
Um,
need
How
him
much?
on the
How
call.
much? Yeah, she said they want him on the call. That they're discussing the future of Prospectors Hollow, and then Parker said, "How much does he like his job?" Kind of flippantly, and how much does he want to put up with the mining guild's oversight? Harker is now typing things on his data and on the terminal. He's making some notes and typing things.
Okay. Uh, there's a pause. So like while there's a pause, you guys can discuss whatever you're gonna discuss with Braden Driscoll. He's gonna take some time to respond to whatever you're sending him. Do you have anything to respond to, like the data he's given you?
I think.
Yes, Harker has a counteroffer.
Okay.
For the moment. Hang on, I gotta fix something. So Harker sends back sort of a like scrawled note counter offer that's going to go to all their terminals. This is all it says so far. There's still some points that he's not gone to yet. So he kind of says like this is a partial counter offer. But essentially it says that the mining guild will train the town miners in new techniques for safety and running of the mine as set by mining guild standards and will accept compensation for that at the regular trainer rate. Hazard pay is basically set at the planetary injury rate with a note that if they train them well enough, the numbers will stay low as depicted in the data they just showed. Housing allowance would be part of the salary, which is still pending negotiation. Warner will be staying on as foreman, assuming he still wants the role, and that is actually on the report. And the current miners and prospectors Hollow, who decided to stay in the town, are keeping their jobs. He's just deciding that for Holland. All consulting is going to go through Warner. This is the counteroffer. Warner will have final say as the foreman on operations of the mine. And then there's a note that says number of consultants will be determined pending an investigation of the situation in Prospectors Hollow.
So
I'm going to type that in.
there's a couple of things.
In common.
The consultation was purely to have them advisory. At no point was it ever implied that they would be replacing any of the miners on Holland's payroll. Like the idea is that like Holland still.
But technically, with them saying
Yeah.
this is how you should do it, they could have weaseled that in. So
He's making it
clarifying that.
clear because he's also banking on the fact that since Holland sent them in there to set the rules, he's also kind of writing this report for
Sure.
Holland.
Also, you do get a response back from A.M. Warner. His response is basically that the mining guild can go suck a big message.
Harker kind of grins randomly because he saw that message. I'm assuming he saw that message.
That's just going to play. Does that mean you're willing to join the call?
His response to that is basically in the middle of a mining incident. Tell him to piss off.
That kind of like gives like glance to Harker because she's like, I can't tell him like to just like leave a mining incident.
Harker's currently leaning forward on his own elbows with his own hands folded, and he's just looking at Brayden because he sent him the counteroffer, so he's looking at his response.
Brayden is reading the thing, and he does seem to be discussing things with his assistant. So at the moment, they are not they're not actively saying anything. You suspect they'll be at this for a little bit. So if there's anything you want to discuss as well on your side, you're welcome to.
So he kind of leans back and he looks at Kat and Al, kind of gauging their response as well.
I mean, Al just kind of looks at Harker and kind of like doesn't give a thumbs up because that would be like too much, but he just kind of like gives an approving look. It's like makes sense about what I would have probably said, but not as articulate as the way I would have said it. Kind of a look.
Harker's very
Although
expression.
Wait,
Al,
you mean reverse?
no, like I would have said, like Al would have said it less articulately.
You said not as articulate, so like I was just like, wait, what?
I don't know. English is a weird language.
I was like, is Al saying that Harker was less articulate than him?
The way that I should have phrased the sentence was,
You done
it
said
is
it
about
better
what I
than I
would
would
have
have said
said,
it.
but I would have said it in a less articulate manner.
The lack
Whatever,
of articulation in his speech.
English.
Obviously, there's some back and forth between Al's personality and mine that I can't form an English sentence.
English am hard.
You know what? As an English teacher, I will back that up and say yes. English is hard.
Listen, you can't raise a building at the same time. Anyways,
Or can you?
they're there.
You can raise a raised building.
Yeah, well, you can raise a building and raise it the next day, but I mean,
They only
anyways.
call it a building until it's built.
A complete sentence with only one word. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. Anyways, I'm not going to go into why that works. But yeah.
Should it be called a building if it's done being built?
Why do you drive on a parkway and park in a driveway?
What's up with that?
I'm trying to hate you all right now as the literature master here.
So I mean, Al would just send a message that goes, I probably would have offered less. And then just kind of like adds a winky emoji because he's trying to be
Trying to be hip.
like coy at this point. He just discovered emojis.
I'm just like imagining that like Slice is like spying on everything and it's going, what the fuck was that winky emoji? Like I know she has
Slice
better
just-
stuff to do than actual spy on that, but that was my imaginative reaction there.
Yeah, your super hacker boss just hacks you and just like, wow, this isn't even worth hacking into. Why did you waste my time?
Exactly.
God help you if he ever discovers the eggplant emoji.
Oh god.
But yeah, Al has nothing to say except for pretty much probably what I would have asked for, but angrier. You know, or what I would have demanded, but angrier. Al does kind of just place in though that he probably would have given them less control, but he's not sure exactly how that would articulate into the actual way that Harker put things, because the way Harker put things is fairly watertight.
Yeah.
I mean, Harker's thinking is that yes, they can consult, but they don't. Basically, he's taking out the part where they
They
said
have to agree, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
He's
Like
basically
you can
saying,
say whatever you want,
right,
but AM Warner can tell you to go to hell. That's what we're arguing.
which is considering what Warner just sent back when he said Warner has a final
Accurate.
say
And
on operations of the mine.
and that should be the reality for every foreman, because like the consultation should always be consultation.
Right.
Speaking as an actual consultant in the real world, I tell people lots of things. It's up to them whether or not they want to follow it.
Yeah, and
You know?
he's also saying, he hasn't touched on the whole profit or even really the salary yet because he's trying to see what if they're going to accept the pathway of consulting first, right? That if Warner has final say on operations of the mine, um, and Warner can just tell him to go to hell. He also is putting Warner in there because kind of basically saying like yeah, Warner technically works for Holland now, but it's not, he's not saying that Holland has the final say on operations of the mine. He's saying
Mhm.
Warner does as the person who has the experience as the foreman. He's making Warner the middleman. Warner's
Right.
gonna be thrilled.
You can't leave the mining guild in charge of every single mine because then they'll have to have consultants there year round, which gets expensive.
Right.
There has to be some trust in the actual people who are running these mines day to day.
And if they want extra pay every time they enter the freaking mine, then it's like they're gonna come
Yeah.
up with reasons to enter the mine.
Right.
Well, he took that off the table technically.
So Brayton consults with his assistant for a little bit, and he basically counters with the following addendums to your initial offering. So point one, his response is basically, per the planetary governor's proposal, the mining guild will continue to consult with Prospector's Hollow and any other mines that Holland may choose to open in the foreseeable future, as long as they remain independent mines outside of mining guild jurisdiction. They will be paid a rate that is considered appropriate for the level of expertise offered by the individual consultant, with an additional 20% to account for housing. This includes a pay rate that assumes that any consultant is going to go into the mines, which will be at a hazard rate until the mine is assessed as being safe and adhering to mining guild safety regulation standards. If at any point in time Holland does not meet safety regulations, they have 2 weeks to comply with standards, or else there will be an additional hazard pay associated with any consultant that must be working on site until those violations are resolved. They have no complaints about Warner as foreman. Um, they have no complaints about miners who continue to operate at what they're considering minimum training standards operating uh, within the mines. However, if a employee is deemed unfit for minimum training recommendations, they will be considered a safety violation to the mine until they are either trained or removed from working in the mine. Number of consultants. They're willing to negotiate on it pending an investigation, but they recommend a minimum of 3 consultants to any mine that Holland operates.
It.
What was that?
Was that all? They didn't say anything about consultation going through Warner. So that essentially Warner has 100%
They don't care
control.
who they report to as long as the other things are adhered to. Like, they could give a rat's ass if they're talking to Holland or to the administrator because the other points are covered by, like, if you don't meet our requirements, we're just going to find the hell out of you.
So they're no longer demanding that. Basically, that they have to meet the requirements that other mines are held to. But they can't just make up arbitrary requirements, right? Like, has that been addressed?
Yeah. Basically, it's if you don't meet our standards, we're just going to charge our fee and you can't complain because it's a safety violation.
But it's the idea is that the standards are what they consider actual standards.
Yes, it's the same standards that all mining guild mines are adhering to. So basically, if the mining
it's
guild
not a-
standards change, they also have to comply to them.
Right. Okay.
Sounds reasonable. There's a little bit of wiggle room there for what, some things could end up being. I would say that any
I don't think
changes.
Holland can really complain about that because they freaking sent Lancer pilots in. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like what we're supposed to come up with an ironclad contract. You literally sent us in. Like,
You sent in the people who have no law training whatsoever in
who
contract
build
law.
things for a living. I don't.
So Herger is
I mean,
gonna
there was
see
no
that.
secret message that we were supposed to kill them, right? Because we could totally just do that right now. Sorry, go
Herger's
on.
gonna, he's just doing what Raiden and Michael did earlier, where he's leaning back and consulting, and he says, what do you guys think? But in a low voice, or just on their group message.
I mean,
Like-
Al expresses as much in the message that it's just like, there's still some wiggle room in there for them to like make changes like to things that aren't in the contract. So we need to have as part of that contract what are all the current standards, like the standard operating procedures that need to be adhered to. Otherwise, there's just room for them to create bedlam. But then again, Al's extremely anxious when it comes to stuff like this because
It's like
he knows all about broken promises.
Doesn't like the aloof, big, angry-looking miner guy just staring at him, issuing demands. Weird.
Yeah. Seems pretty sus to me. Just we're gonna go back 2 months in memes.
What about so Harker asked the group, what about the rate that they're asking for? Does that seem fair? With the 20% for housing, and then there's like a whole bunch of fees that can be added on top of that.
If they're going to, like, I'll just chime in. Like, if they're going to request fees be expensed through Holland or get paid for through Holland, there should be no stark percentage for housing because, not everywhere has the same rate, due to economical differences. So it should be an expense reporting thing. And Holland should maintain the right to accept or deny expenses based off of relatability to mining operations.
Yeah,
I don't know why
if they're,
Al's so business conscious, but whatever.
Like, they don't get to be like, we're consultants here, so we are gonna pick the mansion. Oh, you don't have a mansion? We're gonna build a mansion in Prospectus Hollow to live in.
Housing should be considered reasonable.
Yeah.
Reasonable is my favorite word in every contract I've ever read.
Well, see, here's the thing. You countered housing should be provided with. We will pay you extra. We will we will charge you for housing as part of your salary. So his counter is, if you want to charge us for housing as part of a salary, we're asking for a salary bump.
Yeah,
20%. 20% is
extra.
unreasonable unless. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just clarifying.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's going to be like that, I mean, then are these consultants always going to be on-site consultants? Are they also going to do remote consultancy, like for if a foreman needs to call up and ask about regulations?
Basically,
Is there going to be a separate team?
they are housing in wherever the mine is. So, like in this case, they would be you're paying someone to move into Prospector's Hollow and live there.
Mm,
Keep in mind also that, like, when you say you're moving to the mine town, you're telling someone you are leaving the safety of wherever you were to a frontier town.
Moving to the middle of nowhere, essentially.
is this but are these temporary posts or are these
No.
permanent
No, they're
posts?
relocating to wherever the fuck the mine is. So in this case, you're telling
Because they're
them
going to always be there for
wherever
consultant
you
purposes.
are, you are now moving and permanently living in Prospector's Hollow as a full-time consultant.
Gotcha. I mean, Al would pop in with that information. He would say 20% bump for the first year, and then after that, salary adjusted based on cost of living in that area, which they probably won't like. But there's no way we're going to pay somebody, buckets and buckets of mana to live in a shithole if they can afford an apartment for super cheap
Well, I
that
mean,
meets all of their needs.
also to be fair, like it was a shithole, but like remember that Barnett's sort of like using it to showcase like how successful he can make an area.
Right. I'm not saying that
Right. No,
that
but I'm
place is
just
a
saying.
shithole. But
I'm
what I'm
saying
saying
like
is,
out
yeah.
of character wise, like yeah, it was a shithole, but they've been making it fancier. So
Yeah.
cost of living is a fair thing to say, but it's like
Yeah, it shouldn't be a stark 20%. It should be adjustable. It should be on a sliding scale
being
based on cost of
gentrified.
living. Yeah, it should be on a sliding scale based on cost of living, and salary will be reevaluated every year based on average cost of living if a raise needs to be added. But the 20% bump should only be for the first year and paid out as a bulk sum sort of bonus
Yeah,
to assist with
about to
moving and
say a
relocation
bonus
fees.
for settlement fees.
Yeah. That's just Al's opinion. And he's like, whatever.
Prison guy has a thought on moving incentives.
Prison guy, his brain has been taken over by somebody else.
Sounds like someone's got a bad case of brainworms. Do you need to go see a doctor?
Hey, you dropped this. Thank you. It was cold on the floor. No. Anyways, but yeah. I don't know. I just think that Al would probably actually phrase this as in the chat, 20% bump permanently seems a little unreasonable. Why not just give them money to move and then adjust their salary based on cost of living? With obviously the fact that they're skilled, workers who are being paid to be there to help run these places, they're still going to be paid healthily, but not a permanent 20% bump.
Parker sends to the group. How do we feel about number of consultants at a minimum of 3?
Would just say as long as when they are working, they 3 end up being a viable number. Like that doesn't come across as excess.
I mean, this is Harker's not asking this. This is just me. But like, how many consultants are an actual reasonable number for a mine?
That's just what we don't know. So that's kind of like up to Warren to decide. If Warren is like, no, there's freaking like 10,000 consultants here, and I don't need any of them. Obviously, he still has to have some for the sake of the deal, but he has to be the one that determines whether it's reasonable or whether the mining guild is milking the situation.
I mean, if you go by United States numbers, then you should have one consultant for every 2,000 mines.
For every 2,000 employees.
No, just mines in general.
Are we talking pipeline?
I'm not getting too political here, but the USDA
I mean,
needs
that
to
is
step its...
exactly the issue with the pipeline. So,
Yeah.
that's exactly as far as IT guys for the pipeline, that's exactly what we were looking at.
Yeah. And in general, consultancy should be considered a as needed post in my mind. Like, there's no reason for a consultant to actually be on site year round. Technically,
I mean,
there's
I
if you're gonna
sort of get it in these circumstances when, I mean, number one, it's politics. You know, it's about showing that the mining guild has a presence there.
yeah, but there's
Um,
certainly going to be mines that need more consultants than 3, and some that may need less.
yeah, exactly.
Another sliding scale proposition. Minimum 3, minimum 2, perhaps. There has to be accountability. You know, you can't just have one
But
person
since they
there.
are setting up for the first year, starting with 3 is reasonable.
That's what Harker was going to counter within
Yeah.
the group, was saying, what about 3 consultants for the first year to assist with the training aspect that they're saying?
Yeah, and then those
And
will be reassigned.
minimum of like 1 consultant, depending on size of the mine. Or do we say minimum 2? Like how
I mean,
many?
minimum
I would
3 for the
say
first year makes sense.
minimum
Mhm.
3 for the first year, yeah. Like, that's fair to me.
Then after that year, what are we saying?
Uh,
1 or
Minimum 1.
minimum 1? Okay.
w w
I'd say minimum
that they
1.
will always keep a presence there, yeah. But that it just will depend on circumstances, and obviously if the mine grows and gets more extensive and needs 3 after the first year, then it needs 3.
Yeah. It should be volume based.
It's like, it has to be based on what the mine needs.
But minimum 1, we can say.
Yeah. Yeah, for the presence, politics, yeah.
Minimum 3 first year, minimum 1
Yes.
every after, the honeymoon period of everything's up and running, now we can relax.
Right. What about the number of miners who are deemed unfit?
Um,
Mm.
I would just say that that is also dependent on the foreman agreeing.
Yeah, I kind of wrote down foreman retains power of decision over hiring and firing.
Like,
But they're not saying they have to be fired. They're saying if they're not fired, they'll have another fee tacked on to like as a hazard pay,
right,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, the counter offer basically is if we deem that they are not meeting a minimum safety, like a minimum training level, like if we just decide
So it'd just be that they would need to be trained more.
if we decide that Bob sucks real bad at his job, either make him stop sucking at his job, move him outside of the mine, or we just deem him a safety hazard and now this is a hazardous work environment.
Mhm. I feel like that's fair.
It's fair as long as you don't get someone corrupt who's just trying to like bring down the
Yeah.
mine and like get everyone fired.
I mean, every rule is either side trying to screw over the other person. So like
Yeah, basically.
that's
Yeah.
that's gonna be a hard one to.
Well, that's why I said like it's fair in theory, but that's why Warner has to be the one to like make the final decisions. Plus, I don't think these are so ironclad that I guess just I would add I guess Kat would say you may want to add just something about the right to contest anything that may end up being unfair later on. Like because there has to be an ability to later amend things.
An appeal process.
Yeah.
Checks and balances.
And even for the miners guild side, if like they're saying, like they want the ability to go, like if you make this area dangerous, we can fine you for it. Well, that's totally fair. So then they need to be able to go like we are finding this dangerous. And not have to worry about just being like ignored.
I have a separate question. And Harker's actually going to ask this to the group. He says, so how is he going to put this? He admits that he wasn't paying close attention during the meeting with the governor. And he says, are we supposed to be negotiating for all mines or just Prospector's Hollow?
Well, just Holland only has one mine right now, so that's all we're negotiating.
Right. But their counteroffer is adding any future mines Holland opens is now under Mining Guild jurisdiction. So that's why he's asking that question. Because he's like, did they just try to sneak in control over all mines on the planet? Was that actually discussed during the meeting? That's what he's asking because he doesn't
So
know.
during the negotiations, that was sort of the thing. The idea was like, all mines have previously been mining guild,
Mhm.
and then Holland's like, well, tough luck, we opened one, so suck a big one. And they were like, no, that's not how that works. And so your solution was, Holland mines
Corporate, yeah.
should be consulted with.
Okay. So it was all mines.
Uh, Generally speaking, like if Holland opens mines, then they have to consult with them.
Got it.
But like at the
He
moment,
wasn't sure if
they only own the one because this is more of like a
yeah,
proof of concept.
yeah, he just wasn't because he sees that they're talking about all future business, so he's like trying to make sure they're not trying
Like
to sneak
literally, I
in.
think Cal would just put it like let Holland worry about that down the line.
Realistically, he's just asking because he wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention during the meeting, so he's not really sure what he's supposed to be negotiating here.
Yeah.
He's
He would just
focusing on
say like let
Prospector's
Holland worry
Hollow.
about the all pot later on down the line. Because I mean, really, they don't even know if there's gonna be a freaking government of Eden later down the line. So you know.
All right, so this is what Harker submits to the group. He hasn't submitted it yet to like all the terminals. He says, you know, as sort of uh, as a counteroffer, he says Mining Guild will provide a list for review of all current Mining Guild standards of safety and operation. Um, Mining Guild will submit to Holland any expense reports for housing. Holland can set a reasonable rate based on the cost of living in the area the mine is opened in. Consultants will be expected to relocate to the area of the mine for the duration of their time as a consultant, and then he added 20% for first year only to help with moving expenses. add an appeal process for employees deemed unfit by the mining guild. And then he added minimum 3 consultants for the first year to assist with training, and then 1 minimum consultant in subsequent years. That's what he's added so far. So he sent that to the group for input.
Thumbs up emoji from Al.
At least it
Did
wasn't
Al just like
yeah.
discover emojis? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah,
It's
that's what he
starting
said.
to
Yep.
feel like it.
I feel like at some point he's just gonna respond to Harker with like just an eggplant because he's like asking for him to pick up vegetables at a grocery store or something, and Harker's gonna be really concerned.
Yo, Harper, let me get that eggplant emoji. When Harker leaves, never to be seen again.
All right, here's what he submitted to the group. I'm just gonna throw it on there so that you're not trying to process all my all my reading it out loud.
So while this is going on, and while Brayden is sort of looking over, you kind of hear the door open behind you, and Carlisle Armin comes in. And he just kind of is just like, "Oh, you did better than I thought you would."
No visible recoil from seeing Al in anything but cargo pants and a white tank top.
No, I mean, I'm not sure why he would. Like you are
I don't know,
after
man.
all in a business setting, so you are just properly in a business setting.
Harker,
He thinks
Well,
we know how to behave in a business setting. It's amazing.
Harker, because he had only submitted that counter to the group, and he got Al's thumbs up. So when Armin comes in, he submits it to the terminal so that Brayden and Michael can see it.
Um,
where does Armin sit?
he's not sitting; he's standing in the doorway currently.
He's just looming.
Yeah, he has just sort of come in, just like, "Well, you did better than I thought you would." What specifically he is commenting on, you're not certain. But obviously, since you guys have been using the terminals as is required, assuming he's at least seen your last provision.
Mhm.
He just kind of looks at you and goes, "I could see why he has some faith in you."
Aww.
So,
Al actually does beam at this.
Harker is very suspicious of Armin, but so he doesn't really have any outward reaction. He does, though. Harker does say, kind of gestures like in a friendly way to Brayden, and he's like, "Well, we haven't quite finished yet."
That's just staying quiet.
I
Armin
like the
kind
notes on the
of
screen.
Armin kind of offers a nod toward Raiden, and he goes, "You are correct. Mr. Driscoll still has some points to discuss. However, you have sufficiently satisfied my curiosity on your ability to perform when required. You
Kind of
are free
quirks
to
an
leave
eyebrow.
if you wish."
Kat subtly, messages Hako on the on the way they've been communicating and just going like, I would say that's up to Driscoll.
And that he should say that.
Yeah, she's basically just saying that like she's not wanting to take control of this meeting, and she has a reason. But she's just like she feels that like she's just saying that she feels like Driscoll's the one who should make the call about who he wants to negotiate with, since they made them go in. So
Harger flashes a charming smile towards Brayden and says, I leave that choice up to you.
Braden Driscoll being the kind of indifferent man that he is, stops talking with his assistant for a moment and goes, honestly, it doesn't make a difference to me which one of you I'm talking to.
at that, Kat kind of just gives him like she moves his hand and she gives him like this polite like not polite but kind of flippant like salute of two fingers type thing, and she kind of just heads to the door.
Meanwhile, in the back of her head, she just hears everyone saying "Flight Commander."
Well, she's not doing she's doing the flipping, like whatever you say.
I mean, Al's out the door with her.
Harker kind of just sighs and collects his data pad.
Just like, oh, thank God it's over.
Rumi sneaks out too.
Sneaks out.
He does got in her big booby dress. He does say, he says to Brayden as he's leaving, he's like, your choice, and walks out.
They're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, he's like, he has the feeling that they were the easier negotiation.
Oh, they totally were. Like it's like nah.
He's like, all right, it's your funeral, buddy. Your grave to dig.
Like she was just saying they should like check with him just in case he was just like, no, I want to just keep talking to them. Like she was giving him the option.
Harker, as he exits the room and the door presumably shuts behind him, definitely has a like huge exhale of breath, and like all this tension went right out of his shoulders.
It's like I'm not in
And
charge anymore. Yay!
and he kind of puts on this kind of like rubs at the back of his neck and is kind of like, huh, glad I don't do that for a living.
Gonna kind of give a laugh and just like be like, yeah, but you are honestly pretty sexy doing it.
Harker just grins.
Al is just staring.
Also,
What?
before we wrap up that sequence, here's a art breeder interpretation of Carlisle Armin.
I mean, that does not surprise me.
What is that? Hank Green with better cheekbones?
I mean, that's an interpretation, I suppose. Yeah, I've been working on an NPC portraits while you are all doing your thing, because that gave me some time to mess with that. Because some of these NPCs will become more important for plot things coming up.
Uh-oh.
Also, here's AM Warner. If it'll upload. Oh, nope, I think this is a really big file, so this is gonna need some resizing. Hold on. There we go.
I was just laughing at the Armin with a smiley face in the back.
So there you go. These are some NPCs that you now have faces for.
Hooray!
But yeah, you guys wrap up your impromptu meeting and make your way back to your barracks.
As they get back to the barracks, Kat's gonna kind of collapse on the couch and just like do her own version of the sigh that like uh Parker released.
Or kind of. It does one of those like you kind of like shake yourself off, like you were just had a chill, and or you just walked through a spider web, and he's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. He heads for his room.
That felt like a whole lot of responsibility that I wanted nothing to do with.
Cat
Too much.
face.
I think for him, it's like this is reminding me way too much of the life that I left behind. So I'm gonna go take a shower and like get back into myself again.
Al pretty much just plops down in the common area and just zones out because he's done enough thinking for a week in a day. But he does stare over at Romy to see kind of Romy's whole demeanor because Romy was very quiet throughout this entire
Romy was
process.
sleeping. Let's just be real.
Yeah, Remy doesn't have much to do with any of that stuff.
Cat just kind of mumbles to Al like, "I told you he'd be able to handle it."
And I'm honestly not sure what she thinks about anything that just happened.
What time is it, by the way? Not in real life.
Um,
I would imagine mid-evening, late evening.
early evening.
All right. At that point, Al is just going to be like, all right, we're getting delivery. I'm buying. Who wants what? Because there's no way I'm cooking unless somebody else wants to. Right, Harker's in the shower, but he's going to wait for Harker. He's not a dick.
Nah, he just walks into Hawker's shower.
I mean, these are things I've done in real life to friends of mine. Just like walked in and be like, "What do you want?" And they're like, "I'm in the shower." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care. What do you want?" There's no weirdness to that story, by the way. I was just literally living with a very good friend of mine, and I like to annoy him. Anyways,
I feel like there's weirdness though if Al learns the eggplant emoji.
oh, it's not going to happen unless something else equally ridiculous happens. It's just something I've got in my back pocket along with my garlic presses, you know?
I mean, Cat would just like yell like over the shower and be like, "Harker, what do you want to eat?"
You hear that if he's like all the way down the hallway in his room,
She's
in
just
presumably
literally
his own
yelling.
bathroom.
Do you want her hacking into like what the tech is inevitably in the shower room? And then, fine, if he doesn't respond to her yelling that, she's gonna go, Wilmy, go find out what Harker wants to eat.
mean, he's in the shower. He can't hear much.
Yeah. So
Is the door locked? Does she get to mess with his door?
He probably didn't lock his front door because I feel like he wouldn't think
anyone
people
was gonna
would
come barging
just
in.
walk in. So he's probably, yeah, I
That
don't
was
think
your
he
first
really
mistake.
I feel
would have.
like she messed with it anyway
I mean, he
because
will be from now on.
I feel like Wilmy probably already has like keys for all the doors or whatever, or has tried to make ways to get into all the rooms. Whether she succeeded or not is questionable, but I bet she's tried.
and her door only had so many of the parts she needed.
So they none of their rooms lock anymore.
Nothing is safe.
Like this is turning into a scene from Psycho.
I mean, I feel like they're putting us in charge of planetary concerns. Nothing has been safe for a long time.
Correct.
I mean, they proposed that you were in charge, but technically, also thank you for the bits. Technically, it seems like he was ready to just step in and be like, "You guys suck."
Yeah, but he didn't.
He didn't, because you tried, and he was proud of you.
What are we supposed to do? Not put an effort in?
I mean, that arguably was somewhat what he expected.
I guess he was like kind of testing whether they were gonna live up to the "we actually care about people," but or not, or if that was just like a convenient thing we were doing to screw over the meeting earlier.
I mean, if you want to get technical about it, we technically were more aligned with corporate interests in that meeting than people
Well,
interests in the
that's
second meeting.
because I mean, well, we were more aligned with Prospectus Hollow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Harker
It
tried to
just
really push
Prospectus
the
Hollow is kind of like owned by Holland, but we like like the whole like making sure that Warner and that things are fair, and like we weren't trying to screw over the mining guild. We just weren't accepting unreasonable limits either.
Yeah.
It's almost like we were trying to be pretty fair, weirdly.
Yeah. I would argue that.
And like in a way, like Kat does view like making she knows Holland does not want the mining guild involved in that damn mine. She knew that suggestion at all was not going to be a popular one with Holland. But like she does actually support that the guild needs to be able to like keep some control of things and keep their pride, and there's a lot of people working in the guild and
Yeah.
she's actually not trying to fuck over the guild, despite what he implied.
No, I didn't say that.
No. What he implied earlier too
Oh,
in the
okay.
meeting.
Yeah.
Of like where he was just like, I would have thought you'd be more on our side. And she's just like, I'm fucking on the people's side.
Yep.
When you represent the people, I'll be on your side. Okay, is Romy doing anything?
I was waiting for.
Yeah,
I guess she could send a drone to the room to make a really loud, annoying alarm sound. I think that would be fun.
What
I mean,
kind of alarm?
she was supposed to just go find out what he wants. I don't know why she's trying to like scare him to death now.
Yeah, it's a really loud klaxon.
Okay. So Harker is just probably just starting to, because they kind of went in really quickly. Probably like just turned the water on and had been, rinsing his hair, and this really loud alarm suddenly goes off. So he, um, kind of in like a panic, manages to shut the water off, um, and comes bursting out of the room wearing a robe. He didn't just, jump out naked. He managed to
He
like throw
didn't.
a robe on. Um, and basically all he has is a robe and a pistol.
And there's a
Not
drone.
sure what the alarm is, if it's like, you know, security or fire. So he's just kind of like looking around like, what the heck happened?
And there's just a drone there with a smiley face on it.
There's just a
Parker
little banner. It
considers
just says you just got roamied.
Parker considers
Just
shooting
shoot
the
the
drone.
drone. Shoot the drone.
Um, he doesn't shoot the drone. He does consider it for a few minutes. And
And
then
then Romy's
Wait,
voice comes
wait,
out and
wait.
she's
He
like, "What do
considers
you
a
want to
few
eat?"
minutes, so he's just standing there naked, staring at a
in a
Staring at the
drone
robe,
for a
drone.
few
in a robe,
minutes.
he's
Just
got a
like,
robe. He just kind of maybe for like a good 60 seconds. And then he starts kind of muttering and like adjusts the robe so that it's actually more tightly tied.
But now I'm envisioning Hoka as the dude from Mulan.
Is the dude from Mulan?
Um, uh, the cartoon version, where the guy is running away. The like secretary guy.
The annoying one?
Yeah,
Poor
but no,
Harker,
like remember the
Jesus.
scene
oof.
in Mulan where he's like he's basically being chased off from the bathing pool with all the where all the soldiers are, and he's talking about
Wow.
like
You
he's
compared Harker to that guy.
well, I'm sorry, him standing there like
Wow.
the adjusting his robe closer because he screams when the panda comes up.
Poor Harker.
It's
Sorry,
a
Well,
little
I
just
will
a
harsh.
vision
note
of like
I
him
will
adjusting
note
the
for the
robe.
record, there was no screaming involved. He just came out ready to like shoot someone because he was like, someone's broken in and Holland is really that pissed off at us for whatever we just negotiated. And now he's just used a drone and he considered it for a few seconds, but he did not shoot the drone. So Romy
Then
was saying her voice came out of it.
Yeah, and she just asks, "What do you want to eat?"
Hager is kind of like, what?
That's a fair response.
And it just turns around and leaves after it's done its thing.
Apparently, he just wants to eat. I what?
Harker's just like, Harker turns to the camera and just gives it an exasperated look. No, he turns and decides to like he kind of like stands for a few seconds, like, what am I supposed to do at this point? But then he follows the drone back towards the sitting room where he knows he at least left some sane people and um kind of pokes his head in like, what the heck was that all about? He has a very
Kat
thoughtful
kind
look
of
on
just
his
like
face.
tilts her head and she's like, I did not expect Romy to do it that way, but I guess I should have.
And I was just like, I'm ordering food. Do you want any?
Harker is just like, sure. What are we ordering?
Al
Kat
just
chips
goes,
in with,
well,
I was paying.
and Al just says, yeah, we hadn't really gotten that far. So what do you want? I mean, you pretty much ran the show, so dealer's choice.
Harker eyes them for a minute because he's still like dripping. Um,
Just like
he
helpfully offers, like, you're sexy like that too.
Harker flashes her a grin. Not any like a suggestive one, just
Yeah,
like a grin.
Parker flashes her. That's all I heard.
um, Although he does at one point kind of, he after a moment's pause, because he weighs the fact that most of his body is still behind the door frame, um, in terms of like presenting himself as a target. And then he says, I'm sexy without it as well, or so I'm told.
Cat would just smoke and she's like, I'd believe it. And she's like, what do you want to eat?
Parker's, so
Hermie's in the corner gagging.
so at that point he says, noodles. And then he does actually, now that he knows Cat isn't gonna throw something at him, um, he comes into the room. He crosses to wherever he left his smartphone type thing, and he taps on it a few seconds, and then he sends her and Al the name of this little like hole in the wall place kind of thing that's down in the streets of Wayfar, and says this place, he says, order the special, tell them I sent you, and I definitely recommend the number 3. So he types all that into the message, and then he heads back for his shower.
I mean, Al looks over the menu and is like, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Like, Cat's just like, that'd be fine with me too.
On to number 8.
Has Romy noticeably actually looked at the menu at this point, or is she just calling out numbers?
Like she can order whatever she wants.
She's just calling out numbers.
I mean, we're going to get a number 8, whatever it is.
Yep.
So, there you go.
I mean, that sounds about right, honestly.
It does. There's
All right, so, I mean, we've ordered dinner. Is anyone else doing anything interesting, or?
just like
No.
sent a note to Barnett and just been like, just like a quick one, and just be like, were you involved in that test too? And like, she doesn't expect a response. She's just commentary.
So I have pulled up phrase generator, which has a food entry, and I have generated the first thing, and
Ooh, do I get to roll for it?
no, I have just told it to generate me a foodie menu.
Dear God.
So what you have ordered is, and I quote, pan-fried oyster and garlic blobs served with chicken paste.
That doesn't sound like a very good food generator.
Well, that is what you ordered. I mean,
Chris,
Yay.
just for you,
yeah,
I will roll it again and see what it gives me.
Oh yeah, I do have a thing that lets me re-roll stuff.
what he told them to order is not actually on the menu, which is why he said to give them his name. But it would have been basically like a spicy noodle, like a really good spicy noodle dish that's like special to the chef.
Okay, this is better. This is actually just better. So your number
Okay.
8 is dried grape surprise, hidden under Foster Farms shellfish and mock duck biscuits.
Sounds good to me.
That sounds like something you could actually order.
Yeah, that's
It
Only
does.
because only because real menus don't say blobs.
And it's just grapes when you get right down to it.
It's
I mean,
grapes
It's
under
just-
seafood and fake duck cookies. Or
dried
biscuits.
grapes.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
raisins.
raisins.
It's raisins. They're raisins under seafood and fake duck.
Just sounds like a meal to me. I don't know.
It is a foodie menu generator.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is also why blobs. Because blobs would be like a molecular gastronomy thing.
I have never heard a molecular gastronomy chef call his food blobs.
Globules, maybe.
They're always pearls or something highfalutin.
I mean, the reality is they look like blobs, but yeah, they don't generally say blobs.
Yeah, but foodies are special people. But yeah, so yeah, you have you ordered yourself some dried grape surprise hidden under Pasta Farm shellfish and mock duck biscuits. Yeah. Oh no, it has
Salmon and grits with foie gras, basically.
Oh no, there's a corporate slogan generator. Oh no, the first thing it generated for me is pretty bad, but pretty accurate. I should not be allowed randomizer tools. Corporate slogan generator. We will constantly strive to research scalable database solutions for today's Scandinavian virtual e-monopolies.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's pretty
Is that
terrible, but pretty right.
Space IKEA?
Virtual space IKEA. Anyways, so you've all ordered your food, I guess. Does anything noteworthy happen between ordering and it arriving?
Does it get here before he's done with his shower so she can send her drone to let him know?
He doesn't take a very long shower, especially.
I don't
not
know why you
already
wouldn't
feeling
after hearing
exhausted.
klaxons.
Yeah, like that's
I also he probably locked the door this time.
I feel like that's even more dangerous since she sent a drone in. Like, next drone would just, like, cut through the door.
bust through the door. Yeah. I mean, again, this is Romy, who no longer has a functioning door.
She's like, all of our doors is not functioning.
But no, I will say probably not. So Harker is presumably out of the shower by the time food arrives. Thankfully for Harker's sanity, I suppose. And food arrives and
I mean, food arrives. I would assume that no one's planning on doing anything crazy, right? We just eat food and have a normal night for once.
I mean, there's a Romy in the
Unless
party,
you're
so
planning.
like that's always kind of a loaded question, I feel.
I mean, Al's down just for some food and Scrabble or whatever. It's up to Romy whether or not Romy wants to Romy.
I mean, she just ordered food. There's nothing crazy you can do with ordering food.
It's Romy, we don't believe you?
Nope, I can't think of anything yet.
But
The
Kat would have just said
concern
while
there
they're
is
eating.
the yet.
Well, yeah, I have to say yet. Only somebody deals in absolutes. I don't know who.
Only the Sith deal in absolutes.
I
Waka
mean,
waka.
Which is a pretty absolute sounding statement, but let's not go into that.
I feel like anyone in this group is a Sith, it's Romy.
No, Romy's a Jar Jar.
No,
Jar
she's
Jar was a Sith,
totally
so
one of the especially from like SOTOR
plus
with
Jar
like
Jar was a Sith.
the insane um
The ones who do
They-
evil just because evil.
because they're just insane. Yeah. Like the ones that got introduced a lot, like at the beginning of the Sith Warrior.
But she doesn't do evil just to do evil. She's more chaotic.
Yeah. So anyway, while they were eating, Kat would just say, "Honestly, though, you did a good job today, Tucker."
Or would have reemerged in just a, you know, basic pants and long sleeve shirt without the vest this time. Um, and barefoot because he's assuming they're not going to have to run straight back out the door. Hopefully. Um, so he is very excited to get the noodles, and the second he opens he like breathes in the aroma. He's like, ah. And sits on the couch and um when Kat says that, he kind of flashes a grin in between slurping up noodles.
Rumi offers everybody a bite of her food.
I mean, Al's gonna try it just because he's
Yeah, I
curious.
know. I was like, I was gonna. Yeah, I was just like, that was my first thought. Was like, well, I'll eat it.
Harker
Yeah.
takes a look at it and he's like, is that the number 8?
She's offering it before she eats any of it, just in case. Just to gauge some reactions.
Al really likes it. In fact, he likes it better than his dish, which was pretty basic. So he feigns acting disgusted by it and goes, "You don't want to eat that."
Well, now I have to see if Rumi would notice that you're lying.
Am I gonna have to roll for this? I think so.
That is technically.
I'll tell you what. Instead of
That is technically
It's
you
deception.
attempting to deceive her. Yeah.
all right, hmm, should I use a show off or charm, or should I just roll a d20?
I would say.
I think I could technically use show off.
I could roll show off against him.
Oh, because yours would be a perceptive.
Oh, well, that's no
Yeah.
fun.
Like.
You're not showing off.
It's not like we're grappling, showing off. It's not like we're having a juggling competition.
Yeah,
But
like
I'm good at grappling.
that is arguably a Rita situation. Maybe a spot or investigate.
I can investigate.
Investigate, I would say, in like. Well, okay, yeah, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Not that I have any say.
I'll allow it.
Again, not that I have any say.
Like that is the very like extreme use of an investigate, right? Like how well do you know the person? Kind of like that is like the very fringe use of investigate. And since it's a not
Right.
serious thing, then yeah, sure. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think that's showing off. That's maybe an act unseen or unheard. Maybe.
All right, I'm just gonna roll a d20 then,
Yeah.
because I have nothing else that would technically apply.
Yeah.
I cannot find my window to see what we just did.
He rolled the 12, you rolled the 6.
Again,
You don't know Al to be a liar. So Al must really think the food tastes bad.
So Al during this says, "Here, you've had to sit and watch us all day. This isn't inedible, but I think you'll like mine better." And he just pushes his dish over to Romy and goes, "Here, have this. You won't disgust yourself with that one, and I'll have
I'll,
yours. Okay? I can handle
I'll,
bad food. I was in the prison system."
I'll accept it, but I want to try a bite. Because she's a cook and she likes trying new stuff.
Oh man, this is a rough one for Al. Al goes, "I really don't think that you'd be able to handle this. Like this is like right up there with like leftover Tuesday."
Nope. If you want it, I get to try a bite before you get it. But you get it. I won't take it back.
This is an unwinnable situation for Al, so he goes, "Sure."
Okay. So she tries some and slides it over to you without making any sort of face to let you know what she thinks.
I feel like you have to roll for that one. Decide to roll for my
What do I have to roll?
deception. Act unseen or unheard.
Or I guess it's just a d20. If I can find my bloody window, I don't know what happened to my window. Where am I? There I am. Ouch.
And I'm gonna read a situation.
Okay. Apparently, when it comes to non-physical altercations, you can beat Romy in things.
Terrifying.
And Romy just yells, "Slap fight!"
So,
No, she doesn't do that.
so what was the inner deep thoughts rolling around through Romy's head there?
She thought it was good, but she's allergic to grapes.
So the facial expression that Al is picking up on subtly is it
A
was
minor
good, but
swelling.
there's minor swelling, but there's a slight look of defeat.
Yeah,
Like
because she kind of liked it.
a defeated longing.
It's like,
Okay.
this might kill me. I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's one of those things she'd take some medication for and be like, okay, now I can do it. Sort of like eating ice cream when you're lactose intolerant.
I
Cool.
think you
And now I have a
understand
note.
that at all.
I don't think you understand how food allergies work. Like
That is not how like an allergy to grapes would work.
Well, she has a lactose grape allergy.
grape toast
Space.
intolerance.
Space allergy. And space medicine to take care of it, which is better than what we have.
I mean, I feel like that's also not how anything has worked.
All she has to do is get one of those hypo sprays that go, psst, and she's good to go.
Here's my question. Is this actually grapes or is this like grape flavored food that's 3D printed? Like, is this an up and up place that grows their own stuff or is it something else?
It's really the eyeballs of a creature that is purple.
Purple people eater
I will
eyeballs.
say your description of magical space hypo spray that just injects you with thing is in fact just a futuristic delivery system of an EpiPen.
It works on Star Trek. They always had the right thing to put in someone's
EpiPens,
neck.
for a large part, don't even prevent people from going to like the ER from a lot of allergies. It just keeps them alive to go to the ER.
It
It's
just
not a bee, it's a
keeps them
grape.
stabilized, which is largely
There are
what
also
hyper
Only
sprays do.
bees are
There
deadly allergies?
there are different levels of food allergy as well,
Yeah.
to be
Okay,
fair.
I was just reading about someone who is actually so allergic to cats that they had to go to the ER for stepping into like an apartment with one.
Yes, but
I know
also
folks like that.
like if you are in a
Because it
person
caused anaphylaxis for them.
where you're
So
like,
Allergies.
I have an allergy to grapes, I don't think it's the same as saying you're lactose intolerant.
yeah, no, because I actually am lactose intolerant. So
Maybe I don't know. All I
Yeah.
know is she didn't die from it.
she has a
I hope.
psychosomatic
Yeah,
grape
that could be
allergy.
it.
She
In other words,
has
it's made up.
She has
like
a
MSG.
highly specific digestive problem.
Every time I eat grapes, I get a headache type thing.
Sure,
That's what people do with MSG.
let's go with that.
So what am I eating now?
Yeah, spicy noodles.
You're having pan-fried oyster and garlic blobs with chicken paste.
You got the special, so no, it is spicy
Oh,
noodles
okay.
that are unique to the chef in some way. I don't know. But that's just what Harker said.
It's the chef's special. They always have those. Basically, just
Yeah.
happy
So like this
family.
entire thing, Cash just been eating the noodles contentedly. Like she's just like, okay, weirdos. I don't know why you turned eating into a contest too.
Romy doesn't like spicy. Just for the record.
The food eating competition has just raised this to a whole new level of special.
It's either spicy or die. Depends on, it's like either good spicy or so spicy that you might end up in a box.
Are grapes spicy?
Well, spicy in a different way. We've reconfigured the
How
word
that works.
spicy in 2021, the year of our Lord.
Oh, okay.
It's the spice of life.
Grapes are spicy specifically to Romy. In a bad way.
I mean, I suppose if you're using it to flavor something, it is acting
Grape
as
spice?
a spice, right?
Yeah.
No. I don't know. Maybe.
Mm.
I put orange peel and stuff, and I don't consider it a spice.
You consider it.
Orange peel.
The zest, isn't it? Isn't that what zesting is?
No,
Yeah, you can also
zesting.
do zest, but
If you use
that's
the
just
whole
the
peel, it
outside
is
bit.
not considered zesting, because zesting is the act of removing the outer layer
The orange bit.
of the peel. That would be considered a spice or a seasoning.
Especially if it's part of a larger mix or a curry, then it's technically spice.
What if it's part of a tea?
Then it's a tea.
Oh, okay.
Let's be fair, tea is basically spice in bags.
Tea is dirt and water.
Delicious dirt.
Depending on the dirt.
Yeah. Are y'all done arguing about spice?
The spice must flow.
Spice weasel.
I was waiting for that to come up, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm done with spice.
Interesting conversation. All I gotta say.
I'm done
Romy
until
just-
October 1st.
Romy just pushes her noodles away. And she sits there sad and foodless.
Al feels bad and offers the remaining half.
What are you
He's like,
trying to kill me?
so he didn't know that she was allergic.
Yeah,
So did she actually say it out loud?
No.
It's like, what do you think? I'm trying to poison you? I've been eating this, Al says.
Okay, she takes it.
Al just kind of like side eyes her.
She scrapes half of the noodles onto her plate to make up for the bit that you ate, even though she doesn't want to eat them. Because she's
What?
petty like that.
Al waits for this to resolve and then takes the other noodles back and eats them. Just kind of staring at Romy like, what the fuck is she talking about? Still not knowing at all that she's allergic.
What are we having for dessert?
death.
Yeah, apparently.
Is there like an epinephrine drone that's just hovering over Romy at this point, just like stabbing her every couple of seconds?
Apparently?
Would that be the assassin drone or the guardian drone?
I thought they were the same thing.
Nope.
They are not.
Are these the same drones that you would actually have in battle that are just following you around?
No, because
Yeah,
I thought these were separate drones.
they would
They
definitely
can be.
they would definitely be different because the mech-sized drones
Yeah, it was like
flying
the
around
size
your
of them.
room, a little bit big.
They're the drones are part of her mech, so they can't be mech size. They come off of her mech.
But they're mech scaled. They're scaled to your mech size, which is much bigger than you.
Yeah, I guess so. But she does have her AI drone.
Yeah, yes, you can have other drones. I'm just saying the drones that come off of your mech would be like you sized.
She has her klaxon drone with
The
a
drone
tiara on it.
specifically for yelling. What does this robot do? It screams.
What is my purpose?
You scream, and it just yells,
Oh.
"Oh my god!"
Oh god. Anyways, so Al is confused, but eating. And Al is just gonna not look at Romy or make eye contact because he realized two things in this interaction. One, she definitely liked the dish anyways in the first place, and his ruse didn't go over. Two, Romy is either crazy or she was trying to poison him. That's the way he is putting it.
I mean,
So
those
he's
are
just
not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, seriously.
yeah, well,
I mean, I feel like Kat at this point has probably scooted over like closer to Haka and like it's just showing him like music videos or something on a tablet because it's just like the the version of the web in the future because it's just like I'm just ignoring these guys
I
or
want
like
nothing to do with
discussing
what's going on right now.
yeah, pretty much.
I realized I was muted. Got my printer going in the background. I didn't want to be super loud. Harker is just happily eating his noodles, watching the videos with Cat.
Are they cat videos?
Oh, I said they were like music videos and stuff.
He was hoping for Cat's cat videos.
Because I feel like she would just like choose like music videos because it's uh like she was not gonna go through the hell of like letting everyone debate on like a movie to rent or something like that. And she's like, no, we are not going through like we're not making this a movie night and having an argument about the type of movie. We are not doing that. So
Does she say this?
no.
That's for me would be like,
That's why like she's just over with Haka like looking on the internet like
I mean, let's be honest. We all know everybody in the party would just be watching rom-coms.
side whether Cat would actually ever watch a rom-com.
Might.
I feel like she would. Like I feel like she pretty much will watch. I don't think she watches horror because she probably has movies on while she's hacking and working on the computer and she just like stuff that's gonna suddenly get loud and obnoxious. She's just like not interested in.
I guarantee she watches ancient Earth hacker films.
Oh, 100%. Like it's sort of like if you watch Leverage now and you see what they consider like this is imaginary tech they're gonna create, and it was only like in 2012. But it's like now we all have that now. Actually, before it was like, yes, these thieves of the highest level have these, and it's like, no, she totally watches old stuff. She probably, like, for late night hacking, she probably has stuff like Star Trek on.
I guarantee you, she watches like old NCIS just for the like zoom enhance. Just like it cracks her up. Or like
She'd find that so painful.
the weird like hacking sequences and just like the poor understanding of television IT.
And then she gets sidetracked from her own hacking as she tries to research, and like, that was even how it worked back then. She like trying to like search the internet and in her research and be like, wait, did they really do this? Because this seems wrong. Like, how did this system work?
It didn't. That's
Yeah, it
it
didn't.
just it didn't.
I do that with entertainment now, though. Like, I'll like have to Google and like stuff about the ancient world, or they'll say like they did this and this and this or whatever. I'm like, did they really ever do this, or are you just making this shit up?
I mean, listen, if modern history shows are anything, ancient humans were both simultaneously too dumb to do anything and also too brilliant to be forgotten.
I mean, if you go by the fictional shows, they were also all really hot. Like
Or
everyone.
depressingly ugly. There's really no difference.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, somehow the ancient world apparently had perfect dentistry, and um, it was always clean, despite the fact that they definitely were not.
Nice
Oh,
skincare
oh,
routines.
100% ancient humans were gross as heck.
Yeah, I mean, like anything you study.
Yep.
Listen, there's a reason that ancient battlefield medicine was mostly just, oh, better cut that off.
Pretty much.
Welcome back, Archer. So, you guys have enjoyed yourselves a nice little dinner. You finally seen the end of your day. Doesn't seem like you're gonna get any more missions. You had a long day today. It was mostly in offices. I kind of suspect that the general mood of everyone on the team is never again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, how are you going to fuck us?
Wow, that's hurtful. Honestly,
Is it though?
it is. It is very hurtful. Um, I don't know what you are implying, and I think it is kind of rude, sir.
Well, I apologize, but what's happening next?
Clearly, you now have to negotiate for a peace treaty. The entire safety of the planet. Of course.
You
Like,
see,
you have to convince the Blood Cult to enter a peace treaty.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I knew I should have stayed home today.
But no. It is the end of the day. You don't have anything else. Today was just a busy day, and today's session was largely you dealing with mining guild things. Technically, you're dealing with the secondary effect of you getting involved with things that I wasn't expecting you to get involved in. So, that's cool.
But we didn't make the secretary guy hate us. So
Yeah. I mean, that's worth something. He doesn't hate you.
Yeah, like we didn't fuck it up, which is amazing.
Uh, I mean,
Somehow.
You have to go with the wins you can get.
yeah, this is true. This is definitely true.
Remy was pretty quiet during the whole thing, to be fair.
And that's part of the reason we didn't fuck it up, yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit. I'm not saying that Romy tends to be a walking storm. But I mean,
I
walking
like how you
storm.
didn't say what sort of storm.
Is that a good storm?
Could be like a confetti storm or a.
I don't feel like that's like that. Number one, I've never heard of a confetti storm. Number two, I don't think I would want to be in the middle of a confetti storm.
Yeah, I'm not
The
sure that's necessarily a good place to be either.
um, I can't think any other storms. Candy storm.
I feel like that would hurt.
I feel like a confetti storm, though, is a pretty accurate description of Rumi. You don't really want to
Kinda.
be in the middle
Just
of
an
one.
explosion of colors everywhere and just makes a mess. And you can't really clean it up because it's just
It'd be glitter confetti.
everywhere.
You know it'd be glitter confetti.
How it gets everywhere.
And just it's never
Seaweed
really
glitter, though.
gone, right? Like the after effects of it just are never truly done with. They're just sort of there and they linger.
Well, it's good to know she'll be remembered.
I mean, a lot of people are remembered. Not all of them are good people. So aiming purely to be memorable, not necessarily a high bar to set.
Well, that's not really her aim, so.
I mean, it probably isn't, but this also raises the question: what is
I don't
her
know.
aim?
I really don't know.
I mean, if you don't know, no one else will.
My characters tend to tell me eventually.
Do they?
Yep.
I feel like that is absolutely not true.
It
My
feels
characters tell me eventually, but I don't feel like if your characters haven't told you by now, they don't.
They always do stuff that I don't really have any part of.
I'm not sure that's a good thing.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, I can say nothing because Kimchi knows that my characters do that for me. So
It did it to me, too.
yeah, we both experience characters doing crap from us not knowing why and then figuring it out later, and it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
And I feel like as they are your characters, you can just tell them no.
You would think
That's not how
that.
it works.
You would think that.
You would, but didn't know. No. No. I once
That's
had a
unfortunate.
I once had a theoretical villain that I had set up a certain way, and then he revealed something to all the players, and I literally knew halfway through the sentence of what I was typing what he was going to say finally. And then I looked at the past and everything added up, and everyone thought like I was being particularly clever and I had been hinting at it all along, and I was just like, no, I had no idea.
Sometimes the best weird stories are organic.
It was that he was related to another character, and I was just like, wait, you are? Like, what? Wait, since when? And then like everything made sense. with it. Like everything he had said in the past made
I like it.
sense.
I like it when you get credit for stuff you didn't plan. I made my whole career as a GM like that.
I mean, most of GMing is winging it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you were supposed to be
Facts.
scripting stuff and you still hadn't planned it.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
I
sometimes
had to
I would
get on
have
your
to.
case. Yeah, no, it'd be like, okay,
I
but
would
we're
be
doing the
scripting it
wrap-up
during
event
the
in 2
event,
hours for 40 players. Do you have the scripts done?
and I have to code during the event as it's going. But that way,
Yeah.
the players get to have input.
I mean, like in fairness, like if you're running a session, you're better off not scripting everything.
Never mind that. Well, you had to in this case.
Yeah, I mean, you had to because this was for like 40 players.
Never mind that the code was
And
supposed to go through like 2 weeks of quality control.
yeah, and you could crash the entire game if you did something wrong.
Yep.
Mm.
Fun times.
It's sort of like um, it's sort of like rather than being a tabletop storytelling, it's more like an escape room storytelling. But he was just not leaving the items that people needed to figure out how to get out of the escape room until like
It
he's
was
like
building the room
he's like the
around them as they were
helper.
doing it.
Yeah, he was like the helper in the room that they sometimes have an actor in the room. He was like that actor, but he was planting items.
I mean, they can't escape until you're ready to let them go if you never put the escape in the room, right?
Basically running ahead of the characters, adding stuff right before they got there.
Yeah, no, he did that like so many times.
I mean, technically, that works.
Do you know how many times he had me as a player character before I was also a GM stall for him because he hadn't got the next part ready?
Well, more often than not, you had to clue the characters in on what to do, rather than stall, or they'd just be sitting there all day doing
Well,
nothing.
no, that was half the time because they lacked ambition to go explore anything. So it'd be like, wow, that was a strange figure of a god running past us. I guess it's Tuesday, would be their reactions.
I feel like, if we're being honest, this is why most review games for like special events are just run around and collect things. It doesn't
I mean,
require
Yeah.
a whole lot of thinking. You can kind of tune out for it and kind of can't mess it up.
Yeah, no, but we would have to like. I mean, we once did. So, like, how many rooms were in Paris?
Counting inside rooms,
Yeah, I guess. I mean, just
I will
estimate.
say,
probably 200, 250.
He for an event one time he did. We like destroy a town. That was there, and he had to rewrite 200 rooms.
I mean,
Well, I also made a boat
okay.
where 80 rooms were just the rigging and sails.
Yeah, you did do that. You did.
I will say,
That's a fun boat, though.
you guys have succeeded in that this entire campaign, you have managed to avoid any sort of conflict with the Miners Guild.
Like you mean like violent conflict?
Yes.
Because we
I
tried
mean,
not
Remy tried.
one time. We're just like, nah, let's leave.
Yeah, just left.
Yeah, I mean like well we've been deliberately like not trying to get into a martial conflict with the Miners Guild.
There is literally an entire faction like folio for like all of their mechs and like key characters and things, and you have managed to avoid all of them.
That's like
I mean
one of Harker's greatest skills.
We'll have to try harder, I guess.
like
You've
no,
also
we've been trying to avoid it. We don't want to fight the Mining Guild.
you have also indirectly avoided conflict involving Holland for the most part, which is
I
surprising
mean,
since I figured you'd hate them the most.
Yeah, but then we ended up working for them because someone blackmailed us. So
I mean, yeah. Like I said, sometimes you just gotta wing it, I guess.
besides the sort of mechs you said Holland had, I don't want to go against them. I'm very much against going against their mechs.
What, you don't want to fight the hacker mechs?
No, I don't.
That's weird.
I like fighting the people with the E defense of like 8.
Oh, that's weird. Why
No.
wouldn't you want to fight the hacker mechs?
You know what? I don't like challenge.
Oh.
Hi, Karamba.
I mean,
Number 1, the rest of my team has E defense of like 2. So that's bad for us there.
Excuse
and then
you.
what?
It's like a 9.
technically he has the same E defense as you.
Yeah, he does. But not, like if I got disabled because they could actually manage to do something against me because they're hackers, then he would be standing alone anyway.
I will say hacking is technically an attack. So because hacking is technically an attack, being invisible does work. So
There have been enemies that have been able to single her out, though. And I would also argue that the greatest injury that your mech has ever had has actually come from us.
Hey, let's not get into all that.
Face.
I think that comment was directed at me with the invisibility thing.
Yeah, I'm not invisible. I just have heavy guard.
But I have an answer for that in my last mech update because I figured that at some point that was going to be an issue for
it,
Harker.
it would be sort of clever to like have counters to invisibility, countering things. But yeah.
But yeah, no, the greatest harm that Cat has come under was Haka blowing up a mech in her face and Romy blowing up a mech in her face.
I mean,
Well, a mech that was her face.
I will say, even excluding the actual explosion, that particular combat, y'all took a fair amount of damage.
Oh yeah. Because it was that 2-round one.
Which one? The one I blew everything up? Or the other one?
The one where the mech overheated thanks to your combined efforts. And he decided to keep pushing it because he was gonna blow up anyway, so screw it. That is the downside of fighting kinda suicidal NPCs. They don't care if they're gonna blow up. But that's okay. It's fine. Next session, you guys will move back to more traditional encounters. We had to wrap up this particular plot thread.
Mission accomplished. Celebrate with noodles.
I
Remy
mean,
didn't
noodles
really
are a
like the
good
noodles.
celebration, I suppose.
Yeah, it really makes me want Chinese now.
Stuff around you is open super late, but I don't think you have any Asian places open right now.
Well, I mean, the last Asian place, well, I would have to like order now because
Yeah, they close at 11, don't they? Maybe not on a Sunday, but I thought they closed pretty late.
no, I think they're actually not even open Sundays.
Oh, yeah. No, that's Mondays that they're closed.
No, I looked
Sunday and Monday, probably.
into it and they were all closed Sunday.
I mean, I can check for you.
You can get really bad bar food.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, well, it just cracks me up that you keep like checking. He'll like message me just being like, "You have this place near you," and I'm like, "What? Why? Why do you know that?"
Because I'm bored at work looking at places to order food, and then I realize, oh wait, I have your address, and then I check.
You get so bored and run out of your own restaurants that you just start looking for other people's restaurants.
So this cracks me up. There's apparently this restaurant, Asian Dragon, and the image for ordering on DoorDash right now is just literally 2 bottles of Coke, and I'm
Okay.
like, that's it. That's it. Like it's just the Asian Dragon. Like the other places all have samples of their food above it, and like this
Is
was
that
just like
even a is that
2
even a
liter.
real restaurant, or is it one of those online only things?
I don't know. I'm just cracking up at like
Because you know
I'm
how Hooters has like 10 different Hooters online restaurants now, trying to fool you into not thinking it's Hooters.
Well, it's not. They're renting out the kitchen to other companies.
Well,
That
no, it's
I
like
sent
it's
it to our chat.
Hootie's Burger Bar and stuff. It's still just Hooters.
You have a fair number of Asian places that are closing in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But none of the places I actually like are open.
Also,
So
it's not that ridiculous
that's...
that I know your place because I've shipped you things.
No, I'm not saying it's ridiculous that you like.
There's this person I know where literally their friends have shipped them food just because, but also those same friends have one of their credit cards. And
What?
they're literally just like, I will buy you the thing, just buy it. And they're like, what? And it's like, no, you have our credit card. They're like, oh yeah, it's pinned in the conversation that we have.
I sent Thanksgiving once. I think that's the only time I've ever sent anybody else food.
Yeah, that was when you still lived 4 hours away. You
Yeah,
sent me a Thanksgiving meal.
because you were, I think, alone.
Yeah, I was alone for that Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
But like,
and I
yeah, one of my
wasn't gonna eat.
friends, their friends have one of their credit cards, and they're just like, use it to buy the thing because I said to buy the thing.
Some trust right there.
yeah. I want some power like that. Just somebody else's credit card to buy them food with. Be like, you're gonna have this tonight. I can live vicariously through their food. That's what I do when I build people's computers.
I mean, that's the real question of like trust of friendship, right? Do you trust your friend with your credit card?
I have a few friends I trust.
Yeah, I mean, I would trust some people just because there's nothing they can do with it because there's not much there to get in trouble with.
That doesn't count. Like that's
I
like
mean,
saying
they can
here's access to my side bank
It's his
account. There's
credit card, not
$0 in it.
debit card.
they can go and pay it if they want to.
That doesn't quite count. That's like saying here's access to my bank account. There's nothing in it. Do with it what you will.
I have one of those too.
It's that's not really trusting the person. That's trusting that you have no money. That's that's a different kind of a trust exercise.
Okay, well, are we gonna wrap this up?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was today's session. The last like 30 minutes of it was just us talking about nothing, but that's fine. We kind of had wrapped up around 9 o'clock. Um, our next session will be on the 27th. That will be my last session before I go back to working full time, and my schedule will become a time crunch. Yay!
Hooray!
Yeah, because I'm going back in the full working rotation in July, so.
So
Great.
I'm actually not available on the 27th. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's fine.
We're gonna be in New Hampshire that week.
Okay.
And
We
I won't
wanna
be
just-
available on the 4th because I'll be in Delaware that week.
We want to just do it next week
We can do
if
it next
that's
week.
not too soon.
We can
I
do it
realize
next week.
it's easy for me to say next week, but I'm not the GM trying to get everything together.
That really depends on what other people's schedules look like.
I can potentially do next week. Just note that it's also Father's Day.
I
Yeah,
mean-
that kind of throws a wrench in things for me too.
That
Yeah,
was a
next week works.
potentially for me, but like.
And I have the next fest next week. I could have like taken 5 hours out of it, but yeah, if everybody else has issues, then we may as well.
Okay. Then I guess the 27th we will be doing something else. The next Lancer session will be the 11th. So we will have a quick break from Lancer. I will do something on the 27th. I don't know what it is, but I think we're only going to be down one person.
I mean, I could attempt to run the Quiet Year. I have the module for it for Roll20.
We'll talk about it this week, I guess, and figure it out.
Yeah,
The
the Quiet Year is a very low energy rules light game, so it's not like we're gonna need a lot of prep for it.
That was today's session.
I just made you.
Actually,
go
the
to-
Quiet Year is a lot like what today's session is. A lot of a lot of just people making decisions and occasionally people deciding on things together.
Today's session
But
was.
you get to roll dice, which is nice.
And you get to draw on the map.
I like rolling dice.
Yes. Well, it's more like pulling cards.
whatever.
I'm a strong proponent that you shouldn't need to have to roll dice if you can role play instead.
But I like rolling dice and role playing along with it.
I mean, you're talking to people who are addicted to dice rolling.
I love rolling dice. But I hate rolling dice in D&D. The D20 is a flawed system. GURPS, however, has the perfect system because of its
Listen, I will
bell
make
curve.
you play some 5th edition at some point.
Didn't gird
Listen,
something
Okay,
with your
well, I
stomach.
have to go find food, so I'm just assuming you're wrapping up the stream.
Yes, we are wrapping up. So
Yes.
27th we'll have another session. The 11th will be our next Lancer session, assuming no one has any conflicts on July 11th.
I'll be back by then.
Like, I figured the 4th was not going to happen, obviously, because 4th of July weekend, whatever.
Even
I'm
if I
not
was
doing
available,
anything.
I wouldn't be mentally in the right place for it, so yeah.
So,
Unless you want Woo Girl Kevin.
no.
Yeah.
So next session for Lance will be 11th. We'll figure out exactly what we're doing on the 27th. If you are watching this on the YouTube VODs, I will still be putting this VOD up on the 27th. I always do 2-week wait. Apparently, I could do it sooner than that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Specifics of that. Maybe I'll do it on the 20th.
You have to wait 2 weeks for all that fire to cool off.
Sure. But anyways, thanks to everybody who's watching this, either live or via VOD or on YouTube. Thanks, Ponies, again for the bits. You didn't have to, so super appreciate it. If you like the video, because you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment, drop a like. If you don't like it, drop a comment, drop a dislike. I don't know, engagement is something. I don't know YouTube metrics. I'm not a YouTuber. But they tell me that engagement is good, so if you have anything to say, I'll probably listen to it. I don't think anyone has anything to pitch today. I think we did talk about the frogs last session.
I do have the Steam Next Fest starting the 16th. I'm going to be
I don't know
a
what that
part of
is.
that. It's where they do indie games that are up and coming. It's kind of like their E3 for indies. And the
Okay.
Frogs is going to be a part of that. So I'm going to be streaming a couple days and kind of just hanging out answering questions. And I don't really know what else because this is my first one.
Okay.
I
Well,
have no idea how it works. I'm also part of some they're doing a Discord festival called IndieCon 2021, which starts sometime next week, where people set up like virtual Twitch booths or Discord booths for their games. So I'll be part of that too.
well,
Anybody wants to check
if
that out.
I'm assuming correctly, you should be putting information about that on your Steam page, yeah?
Yeah, and on my Twitter.
Okay. So if you're interested in his game, it is The Frogs. It is currently on Steam, slated for release this year, maybe? Question mark.
Ish. Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in seeing that, feel free to look at the Steam page. Again, the game is called The Frogs. It is a old style point and click adventure game based on um classic art and music. Um, specifically around the play of the same name.
I now own frogshub.com. So if you go there, you can get all the links to everything.
Okay. So there you go. Frogshub.com. Or what is it? Frogs that
Just frogshub.com, like Pornhub with
frogshub.com.
frogs.
Well, that's a mental image I never, ever want in my head again. Thanks for that, I guess. Um,
No problem.
yeah. Monty, you have anything to pitch?
I couldn't get only frogs.
Only frogs, dear God. I don't have anything right now. I have an unnamed tabletop gaming accessory project that's happening right now, but I'll have more information on that as we get closer to an actual launch date. So more information later.
Okay.
Wheels in motion.
I think Bray went to get food, and then I don't think she's doing anything right now, and Parker also not.
Surviving the last week of school. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, fair. So again, thanks to everybody who came out, and maybe I'll see you on the 27th. Maybe I won't. I don't know what we're doing, but if you want to come and say hello, come and say hello. Until then, take care of yourself, stay safe, and try not to get caught up in whatever the heck is going on wherever you are, because I'm sure it's kind of like where I am, and it's kind of chaos. So,
Yep.
stay safe, take care of yourself, and have a good night.